Warrior Lore. Chapter 953. Absorbing the power of lightning, forging his body, primordial spirit, tendons, bones, and muscles. No one knew what kind of forging Du Xiaofu was going through in this empty space. This kind of tempering and forging was unimaginable and horrifying. It was enough to make people gasp. The purple-gold lightning energy was too powerful. Although Du Xiaofu could absorb the purple-gold lightning energy for his own use, when the bolts of lightning struck and wreaked havoc on his body, Du Xiaofu could feel an intense pain that reached deep into his soul. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and resisted. He constantly absorbed the power of the purple-gold thunder, fusing it into his meridians, blood vessels, bones, and organs. Every bolt of lightning struck Du Xiaofu, causing him great pain. However, during this process, every cell in Du Xiaofu's body benefited. Mysterious runes spread all over his body, and rays of light shot up into the sky. His body also became more and more crystal clear, faintly glowing with a purple-gold color. All the invisible impurities in the cells that could not be seen by the naked eye were being purified by the purple-gold lightning. They were all being eliminated. Du Xiaofu's body, which was already extremely strong, was going through a qualitative transformation. It was like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon. Du Xiaofu, who was immersed in this process, did not know that a month had passed outside. Under the divine lightning cauldron, the purple-gold lightning started to converge, and the huge lightning luring platform started to shrink. On the 9 lightning luring platforms, the purple-gold lightning started to dissipate. 9 auras started to awaken, and they shot up into the sky, causing the entire space to tremble. The 9 prodigies had awakened, and the auras on their bodies had increased by a lot. Most importantly, the invisible pressure from the martial veins and spiritual roots on the 9 of them was undoubtedly a world of difference compared to a month ago. We've gained great benefits. Below the lightning luring platform, many auras also awakened, and they looked at the 9 prodigies with envy. Rumble. The divine lightning cauldron shook, and then the space tore apart, revealing a bright void tunnel. Purple lightning flashed around it. The exit is open. We can go out now. Whoosh whoosh. Instantly, there were figures that blotted out the sky and covered the earth, sweeping past like a tornado, rushing towards the exit. It was as if countless bolts of lightning had exploded at the same time, drilling into the exit. Almost half a year had passed, and everyone was waiting to leave. As the auras of the figures in the crowd erupted, many young men and women who had yet to reveal their figures revealed puzzled expressions. This was especially true for the women. All of them had outstanding figures and were devastatingly beautiful. Swoosh. Sima Muhan landed and looked at the divine thunder cauldron in the sky. She said, "Why hasn't that bastard come out yet? Brother will be fine, right?" Du Xiaoqing's figure also landed, her ethereal eyes filled with worry. "He's fine. He must have been delayed by something else," Du Xiaoyao said with certainty. He could feel that Du Xiaofu was fine through the invisible connection in his meridian spirit. "We have to get out first, or we won't be able to," Shui Ruhan said to everyone. Once the exit was closed, it would take 30 years before it would open again. 30 years in here. Who knew what would happen? Everyone, get out first. Xiaofu will be fine. He was fine back then, so he will be fine now. Du Xiaoman's long black hair was as smooth as a waterfall, loosely tied up. She looked at the divine thunder cauldron in the sky with her beautiful eyes, gritting her teeth with uncertainty. However, she could not let everyone be trapped inside at this time. Yi Piaoling nodded and said with a sharp aura, "Everyone, wait outside first. The president may come out soon." Everyone nodded. Then, they could only reveal their figures and rush towards the exit of the sealed ancient land one by one. General, Gu Xinyan, Ghostchild, Li Yuxiao, Wu Kei, and the others followed behind. In the divine light quartz formation, Chang Shengnan entered the exit. His misty eyes looked at the divine thunder cauldron in the sky with a complicated expression. Then, he followed the crowd of people into the exit. "I'll wait for the young lord. Everyone, leave first." In the 7-star halls formation, Dongli Diao said to Lin Weiqi, Stone, Wuma Shang, and the others, "We'll wait together. We came in with the young lord." Naturally, we'll go out together, Tao Yu said. He was unwilling to leave first. Let's wait for the young lord together. Lin Weiqi was also unwilling to leave. All right, let's wait together. Dong Li Jiao looked at everyone and could only nod in the end. Whoosh whoosh. In the divine Thunder Mountain range, the exit opened. In the depths of the vast space, numerous figures rushed out of the sealed ancient land. The experts from the various forces who had been waiting in the divine Thunder Mountain range for half a year were all excited. They were waiting for their disciples to return in triumph. The disciples who could come out were extraordinary, even if they did not obtain the final great opportunity. The emergence of the heavens prides from the various forces made them even more excited. Some experts went up to welcome them personally. The people from the Great Luan sect and the Divine Light Court on the third peak were not very happy when they saw Dongli Chihuang and Cheng Shengnan come out. Especially the experts from the Great Luan sect, none of them looked happy. The old Taoist of Changdao looked even more embarrassed. Because of the previous bet, each mountain sect had to pay a compensation of a divine artifact. That was the wealth of the old Taoist of Changdao. Facing the various mountain sects, he could not deny it at all. The most important thing was that from now on, he had to call Gu Qingyang Grandpa. Although the old Taoist of Changdao had not really called him that, it was impossible for him to call him that. But these days, Gu Qingyang had been yelling about it several times a day. It made him feel like his heart was being cut by a knife. He hated it, but there was nothing he could do. Little Muhan, what about your youngest uncle? Did he come out? On the sixth peak, seeing Sima Muhan and Shui Ruhan return, Elder Gu Qingyang immediately went up to them and asked happily. That guy went straight into the divine thunder cauldron and hasn't come out yet. Sima Muhan shook her head and turned to look at the exit. She was also serious. That kid is too good at tormenting. He's going to make me, an old man, worried to death. Elder Gu Qingyang raised his clear eyes and said, when this brat comes out, I'll definitely have a good talk with him. Are you willing to say it? Elder Hu Sankuan rolled his eyes at Elder Gu Qingyang and whispered to him. His eyes were filled with jealousy. Why haven't the young master and Lin Weiqi come out yet? On the 10th peak, Elder Yao Xing, Elder Cloud Leopard, and the others began to worry when they saw that there were not many people coming out of the exit. Let's go to the Ancient Heaven sect and ask. Elder Yun Ziqin decided to go to the Ancient Heaven sect and ask. Then, everyone simply went up to the 6th peak. Because of Du Xiaofu, they were warmly treated by the Ancient Heaven sect. However, they also learned that Du Xiaofu had not come out of the Divine Thunder Cauldron yet. Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, and the others should still be waiting for news. Boom! The seal of the exit began to close and purple lightning flashed. At the last second, Du Xiaofu and the people from the 7-star hall did not come out. What should we do now? We're in big trouble. Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing, and Elder Gu Qingyang immediately became serious. At this moment, among the people from Tianwu Academy on the 6th peak, an extraordinary young man with an aura that seemed to dominate the sky and suppress the mountains and rivers said with a grave expression, "This is bad. Could there be an accident?" It seems that Du Xiaofu hasn't come out yet. Among the crowd, someone noticed that Du Xiaofu had not come out even at the very last moment. Could it be that it wasn't a fortuitous encounter but a dangerous situation? Did Du Xiaofu really die in there? Dongli Chihuang changed into a clean scarlet robe and looked at the closed exit with a cold glint in his eyes. In the void of lightning, bolts of purple gold lightning continued to descend, causing Du Xiaofu's body to be covered in lightning. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was clean and sparkling. The mysterious runes on his body flickered with a faint, purple gold color. Du Xiaofu could feel that the cells in his body were continuously devouring the purple gold lightning. His martial veins were also devouring the purple gold lightning. As his meridians, blood, bones, and muscles were devouring the purple gold lightning, a strange purple glow gradually appeared. The purple gold lightning was nourishing Du Xiaofu's body, nourishing it. At the same time, it continued to grow stronger. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. The countless forces in the Divine Lightning Mountain range had already left. On the 7th day, the disciples of the Ancient Heaven sect also began to leave. Only Elder Gu Qingyang, Sima Muhan, Ouyang Shuang, and a few others remained. Du Yunlong, Du Shaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, and the silver-winged demonic condor had already left the Divine Lightning Mountain Range. After learning about the changes in the Stone City from Gu Qingyang and the others, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Yi Piaoling, and Du Shaoqing were furious. After weighing the pros and cons, they immediately rushed back to the Stone City. Elder Cloud Leopard and the others of the Seven-Star Hall were still in the Divine Lightning Mountain Range, hoping to wait for the disciples of the Seven-Star Hall to come out. However, everyone knew in their hearts that the sealed ancient land that only opened once every 30 years wouldn't open so casually. They were still here because they couldn't let go and hoped for a miracle. However, the probability of such a miracle happening was simply too small. At night, the moonlight shone in the sky. Stars dotted the sky and purple lightning occasionally shuttled back and forth in the mountain range. On the mountain peak, a graceful and alluring woman with a peerless appearance gazed ahead. She had a temperament that made people's hearts beat faster, but they didn't dare to approach her casually. At this moment, the woman was looking up at the starry sky, but her big, beautiful eyes were dim. Clank, clank, clank. The crisp sound of jewelry clanking could be heard. Sima Muhan appeared behind Ouyang Shuang. Her charming face was dignified and haggard. She asked softly, "Are you close with that guy?" "His parents are friends with mine. In fact, he's my younger brother. We can be considered childhood sweethearts." Ouyang Shuang turned around and looked at Sima Muhan with a strange expression. She opened her red lips slightly and said, "I heard he's your junior uncle?" Hearing that, Sima Muhan's faint purple eyes were stunned. She looked at Sima Muhan and pouted slightly. She said, "That's my grandmaster and father's seniority. I've never admitted it. He's not much older than me." "Then he's still your junior uncle," Ouyang Shuang said softly. She raised her slender eyebrows. "Then you're still his sister." Sima Muhan secretly gritted her teeth. Then, she smiled. Her smile was devastatingly beautiful. A few days later, in the space of blood and lightning, Du Xiaofu's body was struck by bolts of purple-gold profound lightning. They didn't cause any damage to his body. Instead, there were sounds of metal clashing, sparks flying, and purple lightning flowing. If anyone were to see this scene, they would be dumbfounded. The terrifying bolts of purple-gold profound lightning were enough to blast a beginner martial honor into pieces. However, when they landed on Du Xiaofu's body, they didn't affect him at all. At the same time, a strong aura was spreading out from within Du Xiaofu's body. The aura had unknowingly reached the peak of the martial royal realm. At the same time, it continued to climb. However, this climb was faintly hindered by a bottleneck. If the aura grew stronger, it would cause his body to explode. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was immersed in a strange state. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt like he was a real golden-winged rock soaring in the 9 heavens and devouring the divine lightning to make himself stronger. When Du Xiaofu's body was forged by the bolts of purple-gold profound lightning, a purple-gold light seeped out from within. His eyelashes began to tremble slightly. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. Boom boom. The purple-gold light shot out. Du Xiaofu's eyes rippled with the sea of lightning. 2 bolts of purple-gold profound lightning pierced out and shot into the depths of the void, causing the void to tremble. Chapter 954. Boom. At the same time, the largest purple-gold thunderbolt in the sky, which had a diameter of more than 10 feet, struck Du Xiaofu's body with a loud bang, enveloping his entire body. Within the purple-gold lightning, a dazzling light also entered Du Xiaofu's eyes, causing Du Xiaofu to close his eyes again. Within the Naiwan Palace in Du Xiaofu's mind, a dazzling light spread out. Within the light, a tall and straight figure appeared. The figure wore a long green robe, and there was a heroic spirit between his eyebrows. He looked like he was in his 30s, but also looked like he was in his 40s. His changes were unpredictable, but he looked extremely young. Although it was just an illusory figure, it was emitting a supreme aura. His eyes were like the sun, looking down on the world as if he could see through everything in this world and see through the reincarnation of all living things. This is the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron. Although it is only one of the 9 cauldrons, it should be considered a divine weapon in your world. The most important condition for the purple thunder profound cauldron to recognize its owner is to have a strong physical body. Only a supreme physical body can have the opportunity to completely recognize the purple thunder profound cauldron as its owner. The green-robed figure looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Among the 9 cauldrons, you are the first to obtain one and recognize the purple thunder profound cauldron as its owner. This is both a blessing and a curse. The demons in this chaotic world are about to be released. You need to quickly merge with the other 8 cauldrons and gather the 9 cauldrons to command the 9 families. Only then will you have the opportunity to eliminate the demons in this chaotic world. If the other purple thunder profound cauldrons are controlled by the demons, this world will be plunged into a demon's domain. Remember. As his voice fell, the green-robed figure started to dissipate. Senior, who are you? Du Xiaofu was shocked as he looked at the disappearing green-robed figure and asked loudly, "I am the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds. The universe is so vast, and there are so many races. The path of the strong is endless. Kid, if you can gather the 9 cauldrons, we might have a chance to fight side by side." The voice reverberated in Du Xiaofu's mind and then disappeared completely. Walala. After that, a stream of information flowed into Du Xiaofu's mind. It was all information regarding the purple lightning profound cauldron. It was poured into Du Xiaofu's mind. Qi. After a while, Du Xiaofu opened his eyes again. There was some confusion in the depths of his eyes. He muttered softly, "Purple thunder profound cauldron, purple gold profound lightning. So the divine thunder cauldron is the purple thunder profound cauldron. It's just that people keep calling it the divine thunder cauldron." From the information that poured into his mind, Du Xiaofu learned that the essence blood and primordial spirit energy that he had used to activate the supreme mode was only to recognize the purple thunder profound cauldron as its master. All of this was arranged by the master of the 3,000 sectors. The reason why no external force could be used in the sealed ancient land was because the master of the 3,000 great worlds needed to choose a person with a strong physical body to be the master of the purple lightning profound cauldron. In the end, he managed to withstand the purple lightning body forging by coincidence and completely recognized the purple thunder profound cauldron as its master. Du Xiaofu used his mind to probe, and the power of his primordial spirit spread out. He realized that the entire space within the purple thunder profound cauldron was under the prying of his mind and soul power. The space inside was so big that Du Xiaofu was surprised when he saw it. The purple thunder profound cauldron not only contained the purple gold profound lightning, but also many other magical uses. Then, Du Xiaofu discovered that Little Star was in another space. Its huge dragon body was being refined by the purple gold profound lightning. However, Little Star's huge dragon back was covered with an ink-black back armor. Mysterious runes flickered and emitted a terrifying aura. At a closer look, the ink-black back armor looked like a tortoise shell. Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron, one of the 9 cauldrons. It is a divine weapon. It gathers the 9 cauldrons and commands the 9 families. Du Xiaofu collected his mind and muttered to himself, "This Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron was only one of the 9 cauldrons." The whereabouts of the other 8 cauldrons were still unknown. However, the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron was already a sacred weapon. It was definitely a treasure among treasures. Du Xiaofu also did not understand the meaning of gathering the 9 cauldrons and commanding the 9 clans. He could only think of asking around after he got out. As for the chaotic world demon that the sovereign figure mentioned, Du Xiaofu was even more clueless. He had never heard of it before. Peak of martial monarch perfection. Then, he probed everything in his body. Du Xiaofu, who had always been strict with himself, could not help but reveal a surprised expression. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's cultivation had already reached the peak of martial monarch perfection. He felt that he was only one step away from martial monarch perfection. However, he seemed to have met with some invisible bottleneck and was unable to break through. Fortunately, he woke up in time. Otherwise, he would not be able to break through. However, if his body continued to absorb the power of the purple thunder, it would be enough to cause his body to explode. However, At his current cultivation level, and with the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron as its master, Du Xiaofu felt that it was not realistic for him to absorb the power of the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron to break through in the future. The vast celestial qi in his body started to ripple with a purple-gold color. It seemed to contain a kind of lightning pressure. Compared to before, the celestial qi was much more vigorous. The celestial qi was also much bigger and more domineering. His physical body had once again transformed to a new level. It was so strong that even Du Xiaofu was surprised. The power of his primordial spirit was more condensed and strengthened. He was not far from the Seven Stars Nirvana realm. The golden-winged rock bone in his chest had completely turned into powder and merged with the bones in his body, allowing all the bones in his body to merge with the golden-winged rock bone. The domineering golden blood essence flowed in all the bones in his body, making Du Xiaofu feel as if he was a real golden-winged rock. He wanted to soar and spread his wings to the 9 heavens. The thunder martial vein in his body seemed to have become more powerful, surpassing the level of a human sovereign. However, Du Xiaofu did not know the exact level of his martial vein. All the strengthening and transformation made Du Xiaofu's blood boil. He felt indescribably carefree and could not help but want to roar a few times. I wonder what will happen if I face a martial monarch now. He clenched his fist slightly in front of him. The space in front of his fist was distorted, and there were faint purple electric arcs. With this punch, Du Xiaofu felt that an ordinary martial royal realm expert at the peak of the perfection martial royal realm would be smashed into pieces. There is no end to the path of an expert, Du Xiaofu murmured softly. The last message of the martial monarch seemed to be that there was a vaster level in this world. The path of an expert was endless. After tidying up the surroundings, Du Xiaofu took out a purple robe from his Qinkuan bag and changed into it. Du Xiaofu was surprised to find that the ancient, desolate space, the purple-gold heavenly palace, the rock golden wings, and the tyrant shadow were all unharmed. It seemed that the purple-gold profound bomb did not target them. Then, Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared in the void. When he reappeared, he was already in another void. Rumble. In this void, the purple-gold lightning arc gathered and thunder fell. Purple thunderclouds covered the sky. Little Star's huge dragon body covered the sky with a black turtle shell on its back. The starlight lingered, the scarlet flames fluctuated, the purple flames jumped, and the golden light shone. Its entire body was absorbing the power of thunder and lightning. Roar. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in this void, a soul-shaking dragon roar came from Little Star's body. Soon after, the dazzling light gathered around Little Xingxing's body at a speed visible to the naked eye. The ink-black talisman runes soared into the sky. Finally, they turned into a colorful light that wrapped around his huge body like a light cocoon. A mighty pressure spread out from the light cocoon. Du Xiaofu felt that there was a dragon's roar, a phoenix's cry, and a turtle's cry. It made his soul tremble. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment, amidst the terrifying aura, the surrounding purple-gold profound bombs actually stopped attacking the Little Star light cocoon without Du Xiaofu's control. The talisman runes in the light cocoon flickered and released a terrifying energy. After a long time, the light cocoon trembled and started to burst out with bright runes. Is Little Star breaking through? Looking at the change in front of him, Du Xiaofu was stunned. Then, he was surprised. From the aura, Du Xiaofu could feel that if Little Star was breaking through, it would definitely break through to a terrifying level. Chapter 955. The bright runes became brighter and brighter. The mysterious runes on the talisman flickered and exploded with a strong light. Finally, a small crack appeared on the light cocoon. Walala! The cracks on the light cocoon emitted a blazing aura. Golden light flickered and the starlight fluctuated, filling the entire void. It shot up into the sky like a sun. A petite figure vaguely appeared in the light cocoon. The light filled the void and lasted for a long time. When the light that shot up into the void finally dissipated, a petite figure appeared in Du Xiaofu's line of sight. A terrifying pressure descended, causing Du Xiaofu's heart to tremble in the face of it. This was the aura of a beast sovereign. A powerful aura rippled out from the petite figure. Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly revealed a horrified expression. He couldn't help but cry out, "Sovereign beast!" The petite figure was wearing a red dress. Countless starry runes surrounded her. She looked to be only 5 or 6 years old. Her blue-black hair was tied in a ponytail behind her head. Her eyes were slightly closed on her chubby face. Her body was enveloped in colorful runes. The little girl was like an emperor in this space, exuding a sense of nobility. When the surrounding runes slowly dissipated, the eyes on her chubby face opened. There was a faint golden light in the depths of her eyes. There was a vertical rune mark between her eyebrows, adding a hint of evilness to her nobility. "Father." When the petite figure saw Du Xiaofu, her eyes revealed a look of surprise. Then, she rushed down and landed beside Du Xiaofu. The little girl's big watery eyes blinked mischievously and cutely. She happily stared at Du Xiaofu. Above her watery eyes, 2 curved eyebrows were like small crescent moons. Her neatly arranged thick and long eyelashes outlined a crescent moon. She said to Du Xiaofu, "I saw my father. This divine thunder cauldron is the purple lightning profound cauldron. It was left behind by my uncle." "Your little Xingxing?" Du Xiaofu was still in a daze. Looking at the cute little girl in front of him, he couldn't help but want to hug her. She was actually the ingrate little Xingxing. However, it seemed like she was that ingrate. The aura and expression in her eyes couldn't be wrong. "You can't recognize me? How can you be my father?" Little Xingxing was a little mad. She glared at Du Xiaofu. "You've sovereign beast?" Du Xiaofu secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva and asked superfluously. He couldn't help but feel a little shocked. "What's so strange?" Little Xingxing glanced at Du Xiaofu with some disdain. He said with some pride, "I have the body of a true dragon, a descendant of a true dragon. I was born as a beast emperor." He was born a beast emperor. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu could only suck in a breath of cold air, dumbfounded. Then, he secretly wondered if the baby of a divine bird like the golden-winged Great Peng would also be a beast emperor when it was born. That would be too much of a blow to him. "Father, did you get the purple thunder profound cauldron?" Little Xingxing blinked his big eyes and asked. Du Xiaofu nodded. Then, he asked Little Xingxing seriously, "You just said that you saw your biological father, and that the purple gold mystic bomb was also left behind by your uncle?" "Yes. My father said that this purple lightning profound cauldron was left behind by my uncle. However, what I saw was only a remnant soul left behind by my father." Little Xingxing lowered his head in disappointment. Then, he raised his head and said, "But my father said that he will definitely come and pick me up." "Only a remnant soul." It seems that Little Xingxing's father must have a deep relationship with the Lord of the 3,000 sectors. Could it be that the Lord of the 3,000 sectors also has a true dragon body? Du Xiaofu pondered in his heart. It seemed that there were many secrets in this sealed ancient land. Unfortunately, he did not know them yet. Perhaps only when he reached a certain level of strength could he know the secrets hidden in this world. Du Xiaofu murmured in his heart. In the ancient heaven sect, in front of the majestic hall, Sima Taxing stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His glazed eyes narrowed slightly as he said softly, "It has been a month. Is there still no news? Could it be that the boy is really plagued with misfortune?" "Sect Master, the news from the Divine Thunder Mountain is still the same. There is no movement in the seal. I'm afraid." Protector Hao wanted to say something, but he did not continue. Everyone knew that once the sealed ancient land was closed, it would only open again after 30 years. It had not changed for countless years. It was basically impossible for a miracle to happen. Alas, Sima Taxing sighed slightly, then turned to Protector Hao and said, "How are the desolate country and the Stone Dragon Empire now?" The news just came. After Du Xiaoqing, Du Yunlong, Little Tiger, and Yi Piaoling returned, it is said that they were all furious. They did not directly attack Dragon City. They seemed to be deliberately waiting for Du Xiaofu. However, they all went to the battlefield and defeated the people of the Stone Dragon Empire and the Great Wheel Sect. Cheng Shengnan could not resist that group of terrifying people. Protector Hao looked at Sima Taxing and continued, "I was just about to ask the sect master. I heard that the Great Wheel Sect has sent out many young people from the sealed ancient lands to help. Should our ancient heaven sect do something? Young people, Sima Taxing raised his head slightly. His robe shook and a chill appeared in his glass-like eyes. He said, based on my understanding of Dongli Changgu, the Great Wheel sect did not send out the young people to help the Stone Dragon Empire. I'm afraid that the inheritance from Yi Piaoling and Silver Fox is also in his calculations. Sect Master means that the Great Wheel sect is still thinking about the inheritance that Yi Piaoling and Silver Fox obtained in the sealed ancient land? Protector Hao's eyes moved. The more he thought about it, the more solemn his expression became. Sima Taxing Star pondered for a moment before nodding. In the end, he said to Protector Hao, let Shui Ruhan, Spirit Descent, and Yin Machin go train as well. Secretly pay attention to Qing Yin, Yi Piaoling, and Silver Fox. Don't let the Great Wheel sect succeed. Also, inform Marshal Uncle Qingyang and Muhan to go to the desolate country to help. Otherwise, they probably won't leave the Divine Thunder Mountain range. Yes? Hearing this, Enforcer Hao immediately left. We are waiting for that kid to come out. The Great Wheel sect has been acting strangely. They seem to be waiting for something as well. Could it be my misconception? Sima Taxing looked at the sky and murmured after a while, Kid, you didn't die even after that. This time, you will be fine as well. Others are destined for good fortune after surviving a great disaster. Why are you so plagued with misfortune? In the giant city, a murderous aura filled the sky. The desolate country's blood debt must be repaid with blood. This is the rule. The Chung family must pay the price. In the main hall, the core members of the Du family, World Society, and Celestial Beast Hall were all present. Medicine King Yi Wuming's gray robe fluttered. His eyes were cold. Old Yi is right. The Chung family must pay the price. We must avenge the stone castle. Du Yunlong rose to his feet, his robe fluttering in the wind. Lightning flickered in his eyes as he said, pass down the order. From today onwards, the desolate country's army will no longer show mercy to the Stone Dragon Empire. Anyone who stands in their way will be killed. Kill. Yi Piaoling spat out a simple word. However, everyone could feel the murderous aura around him. Leave Chung Xingnan to me. Du Xiaoqing's ethereal eyes were burning with coldness. The desolate country's current strength is enough to sweep the Stone Dragon Empire. However, we need to be careful of the Divine Light Court and Great Wheel sect behind Cheng Shengnan, Murong Yuru said. Murong Yurua said. Under her long eyelashes, her eyes glowed with spiritual light. Her temperament was like a gentle breeze, with an ancient aura. She was as beautiful as a fairy who had walked out of a painting. Over the years, everyone in the world society knew that this woman was like a flower. However, she was definitely not a vase. She was the brains of the world society. She didn't have any position in the world society, but all the world society disciples were in awe of her. Not only because she was personally invited by the president, but also because she had shown all the core members of the world society how terrifying she was. If the president was here, we would have the full support of the ancient Heaven sect and Seven-Star Hall. It's a pity that the president hasn't returned yet. Li Shui's beautiful eyes flickered with a profound light. After all these years of controlling the World Society and Moon Shadow Hall, her temperament was no longer the same as when she had just walked out of Tianwu Academy. At this moment, there was an invisible aura around her that made people not dare to underestimate her. Amidst her charm and allure, she gave off a feeling of absolute danger. She was unfathomable. Don't worry, brother will be fine. In the end, we can leave the Chung family to brother to deal with. As for the rest, let's deal with them first. The Divine Light Court and Great Wheel sect are nothing. Du Xiaoqing's cold aura was unstoppable. In the vast plaza of the ancient sealed grounds, hundreds of figures sat cross-legged. Some were cultivating, while others were comprehending. At the forefront were several extraordinary young men and women, their gazes grave. They were Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Stone, Tao Yu, Wu Masheng, and the other disciples of the Seven-Star Hall. Lord Jiangchen, it's been so long. Will the young hall master be all right? Lin Weiqi mustered her courage and stepped forward to ask Jiangchen. After so long, the disciples of the Seven-Star Hall were growing more and more worried. I don't know either. Jiangchen's voice was flat. He didn't know what was going on inside. When she heard this, Lin Weiqi's expression grew even more grave. She turned to Dongli Diao, Stone, and the others, who were watching from a distance, and shook their heads. Walala! Suddenly, at this moment, the divine thunder cauldron that had always been entrenched above suddenly emitted a special fluctuation. Chapter 956. Beneath the divine lightning cauldron, the space beneath the cauldron rippled, and dazzling purple arcs of electricity spread out. Sizzle! Under everyone's astonished gazes, two figures, one large and one small, descended from the cauldron's cauldron. One of them was a young man in purple robes. He looked to be in his 20s, and his eyes were clear and bright. He carried a long sword wrapped in purple cloth on his back. Beside him was a 5- or 6-year-old little girl. Her blue-black ponytail was tied behind her head, and she had a chubby face. Deep within her large eyes, there was a hint of gold. The little girl's robes fluttered like starlight. Her every movement was adorable and noble. When they saw the purple-robed young man, Dongli Diao, Lin Weiqi, and the others were stunned. They immediately cried out in surprise, "Young Hall Master!" The two people descending from the divine lightning cauldron were naturally Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing, father and daughter. "Third young master, you finally came out. I knew you were fine." Stone was stunned for a moment, then immediately rushed over. He looked at little Xingxing, his eyes filled with confusion. Where had this little girl come from? "What? Don't you recognize me?" Little Xingxing turned white, blinking her eyes. She was extremely adorable. "You're little Xingxing." Stone was stunned. Then, his expression changed. He finally recognized little Xingxing, who was now in human form. He was shocked. The young hall master has come out. Many of the 7-star hall's disciples stood up, overjoyed. They immediately crowded around him. "As long as you're fine, that's good. You seem to have obtained quite a bit of opportunity." Jiangchen arrived beside Du Xiaofu. His chiseled, cold, handsome face stared at Du Xiaofu with deep, dark eyes. He seemed to sense something. Many thanks." Du Xiaofu nodded slightly. This time, it was all thanks to Jiangchen's warning that he'd been able to obtain such a great opportunity. "However, it seems we can't leave," said Jiangchen. "The exit to this sealed ancient land has already closed. It'll open again in 30 years. If they missed the exit, they'd have to wait another 30 years. He knew this better than anyone else. They'd be trapped here for 30 years. We'll be able to leave in 30 years. Dongli Diao, Wu Masheng, and Yu Mingyuan looked at each other. Although they did not regret accompanying everyone here to wait for the young hall master, they were still a little surprised to hear that they would have to wait for 30 years before they could leave. That's not necessarily true. It won't be too difficult to get out. Du Xiaofu smiled. Now that the purple lightning profound cauldron had already recognized him as its master, it was naturally not difficult for him to leave this sealed ancient land. Boom! As Du Xiaofu's voice rang out, a certain space in front of him suddenly shook violently. A tremendous aura soared into the sky, and a baleful aura vaguely filled the air. This is the third time, right? There were 2 noises a few days ago. It was the same. What happened? Many of the 7 Stars Palace's disciples were astonished when they heard the commotion. Just a few days ago, there had been 2 explosions that were similar to this one. When the baleful aura filled the air, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Stone, and the others felt their hearts tremble. Du Xiaofu looked in the direction of the noise and frowned slightly, as if he'd discovered something. This is the third one. It seems they really did succeed, but it seems there was an error in timing. They were a little late. Jiangchen gazed into the distance, his thick eyebrows rising rebelliously as he frowned. "Do you know what's going on?" Du Xiaofu turned to look at the purple-robed Jiangchen. From his expression, it was clear he'd heard the noise just now. Jiangchen raised his head slightly and looked at Du Xiaofu, his purple robes fluttering elegantly. "It should be Shou Sha, Hunxia, and Phantom. They've been preparing for so long, and have finally broken through to the origin realm. They're the experts here." Du Xiaofu recalled the 3 names Jiangchen had shouted when they passed through the army of evil spirits. They were the 3 people Jiangchen had just mentioned. "They're the strongest existences here," even stronger than the Bloodvine Bane. They've always wanted to leave this ancient sealed land, but due to restrictions, they've been unable to do so. However, I don't know where they got this information from, but they say that as long as they can break through to the Origin Realm, they'll have a chance. Once the seal opens, they'll be able to escape. Jiangxin pursed his lips, then continued to speak to Du Xiaofu. The three of them have already broken through to the Origin Realm. They'll be even more difficult to deal with. Of the three, Han Xie was condensed from the remnant souls of humans here. Over the years, he's become different from the rest. Shou Sha was condensed from the remnant souls of demonic beasts. As for Phantom, she's even more terrifying. What's even stranger is that the true form of the demon spirit here is a red spider lily. It's extremely terrifying and difficult to provoke. 3 Origin Realms. That's terrifying indeed. Du Xiaofu raised his brows. 2 Origin Realm evil spirits and 1 Origin Realm demon spirit. It would be strange if such a lineup wasn't terrifying. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes widened. He looked ahead and said softly, "They seem to be heading this way. With the divine lightning cauldron suppressing this place, they shouldn't dare get too close. However, they've all broken through." As Jiangxin spoke, he seemed to recall that Shou Sha and the others had just broken through. His expression instantly changed. Outside the square, purple arcs of lightning should have been enough to deter evil spirits from approaching. But now, as the space rippled, 3 figures quietly appeared. As soon as they appeared, a baleful aura emanated from the divine lightning cauldron. Then, 3 absolutely terrifying auras swept out, causing the disciples of the 7-star hall to tremble. The 3 figures hovered in the air, causing the space around them to freeze. Around the 3 of them, strange black fog gathered from the empty space. Finally, it condensed into a layer of black clouds in the empty space. Even the surrounding gazes were unable to penetrate the clouds. In an instant, the entire square darkened. Baleful auras filled the air, and faint ghostly wails could be heard, affecting souls and origin spirits. What a terrifying aura! As soon as the 3 figures appeared, many of the disciples of the 7-star hall turned pale with fright. This baleful aura was simply too terrifying. The 3 figures hovered in the air. 2 men and 1 woman. One of them was a thin, black-robed middle-aged man wearing a black hood. Only his blood-red eyes were visible. He glanced at Jiangxin, then at Du Xiaofu, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, and the others. His blood-red eyes rippled, and his voice was sharp and cold. "Since we missed the opportunity, we'll have to wait until next time. So many years have passed. 30 years isn't a long time. Destroying your origin spirits and devouring your origin spirits isn't an unexpected gain." Jiangxin raised his head slightly. His hair was tied high on his head, and his long, flowing hair flowed down his back like flowing water. When he looked up, his handsome profile was flawless. He coldly shouted at the mysterious figure, "Han Xie, don't you dare!" "Ha ha ha ha." When he heard this, Han Xie laughed heartily. Jiangxin said, "Jiangxin, if you were at your peak, we'd be somewhat afraid of you. But now that you've surrendered to the humans, it seems your cultivation has regressed quite a bit. You can't even protect yourself right now. How could you possibly be a match for us? You'll know once you try." Jiangxin didn't back down. His deep, black eyes were suffused with a fierce aura. It was difficult to detect his aura, and even Han Xie couldn't tell what was going on. "Ha ha." Clear, melodious laughter rang out. The woman descended a bit, her scarlet silk dress trailing behind her as she floated in the air, outlining her beautiful figure. Her beautiful black hair was tied up with a few scarlet ribbons. She said softly to Jiangxin, "Jiangxin, you're so arrogant. Could it be that you've really been subdued by these puny humans who can't even withstand a single blow? Phantom, if you want to make a move, you'll know the result after you try," Jiangxin said in a low, indifferent voice. It was impossible to discern anything from his deep, dark eyes. When they saw Jiangxin's expression, the woman and Han Xie grew suspicious. They couldn't tell whether or not Jiangxin had any more trump cards up his sleeve. They both knew that Jiangxin wasn't someone to be trifled with. I don't believe it. Let's see what the result is." These humans are mine." As soon as the last man spoke, his figure flickered in and out of existence. His short, crimson hair suddenly glowed with a brilliant light. His eyes glowed crimson, and he looked like a savage beast. He pounced on Du Xiaofu, Jiangxin, and the others. Roar. The large man's roar was just like a lion's roar. His body appeared and his fist moved. The surging black fog of evil aura around his body also moved. His large fist seemed to cause the entire space to tremble. It contained an incomparably terrifying evil aura that caused one's soul to tremble as it violently smashed towards everyone below. Boom! Du Xiaofu also made his move. He stomped his foot on the ground of the plaza. Instead of retreating, he advanced and punched out. Purple arcs of lightning rippled out in all directions, filling the air with muffled, thunderous booms. Bang bang! Muffled explosions rang out. Some of the seven-star Hall disciples hadn't even recovered from their shock before the murderous aura and lightning dissipated into the air. Many people watched as Du Xiaofu's illusory figure was blasted to smithereens with a single punch. Jiangxin raised his head slightly, astonishment flickering in his eyes. Chapter 957. When the black-clothed man's body was destroyed, the woman's and Han Xie's expressions immediately changed. Walala! A monstrous evil aura fluctuated. The black-clothed man's body, which had been destroyed by Du Xiaofu's punch, strangely recovered. However, deep within his ferocious beast-like blood-red eyes, there was a hint of shock. He is Shou Sha, formed by the soul of a beast. Every 30 years, most of the people who come in have become the nourishment for the three of them to break through. In order to prevent the strong practitioners outside from noticing and being on guard against them, they have been hiding all these years in order to find an opportunity to break through and escape from the seal. Otherwise, not many of the people who come in have been able to truly leave. Jiangxin looked at Shou Sha, who had been formed once again. After pausing for a moment, his deep black eyes rippled with some calm fluctuations. He said to Du Xiaofu, "If you want to truly deal with the three of them, you need to use the most powerful Yang technique." Du Xiaofu's gaze was locked onto the three of them. Based on the strength of the three evil spirits, if they used their full strength against the younger generation of the Central Plains who entered the sealed ancient land, not many people would be able to escape. He did not expect that there would be such strong practitioners here. Roar! Shou Sha roared loudly. His blood-red eyes flashed fiercely. He was enraged after suffering a setback and attacked again. As he roared, Shou Sha's body suddenly expanded. His evil aura filled the sky. In an instant, he turned into a ferocious and huge demonic beast in mid-air. This huge demonic beast's body was like a lion, a tiger, a wolf, and a leopard. Its bloody mouth was ferocious and its fangs were sharp. It pounced towards Du Xiaofu with a terrifying evil aura. The huge ferocious beast's body pounced down from the sky. It was as if it was formed by countless ferocious beasts. Its evil aura enveloped the entire plaza. It was extremely terrifying. The huge beast's body was like a living creature at this moment. It cut through the air and pounced down. It was unimaginable what kind of power this was. This was the power of an honorable martial artist. Compared to the newly ascended honorable martial artists outside, it was not inferior at all. Especially that terrifying murderous aura, it was enough to greatly affect the soul of a newly ascended martial honor. However, Du Xiaofu's soul, after being forged by the purple gold profound bomb, seemed to be unaffected by the monstrous baleful aura. He stepped into the air, and his speed was as fast as lightning. Du Xiaofu's long black hair draped over his shoulders. His body was as vigorous as a divine bird soaring through the sky. Every inch of his skin was covered with purplish gold lightning symbols that were incomparably blazing. It was as if he was standing in the sky. Then, under the gazes of the crowd, he swept his hand towards Shou Sha. With a sweep of his hand, the purple gold talisman runes flickered and finally turned into a phantom of the rock's golden wings. This was Du Xiaofu's Fuyao sky-shaking wings. However, at this moment, the Fuyao heaven-shaking wings were no longer just golden. Instead, they carried purple gold electric arcs, making them look like a purple gold rock. Rumble. With a sweep of his wings, he slammed into the ferocious beast. The void and earth in this area exploded, and purple lightning flashed everywhere in midair. Walala! Monstrous baleful aura swept across, causing one's soul to tremble. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. Lightning flashed across the sky, spreading far into the distance. Sizzle! Sho Sha's huge beast form was directly pushed back, and his blood-red eyes were filled with shock. Looking at the tiny human youth, regardless of whether it was the overbearing aura or the lightning aura in his body, Sho Sha felt a deep fear in his soul. He was being suppressed. Roar! Sho Sha roared. Baleful aura surged within his huge body, and blood-black runes soared into the sky. In the end, they turned into countless demonic beast phantoms. These demonic beast phantoms were dozens of feet tall, and they carried a terrifying baleful aura. Their blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent, and they swept towards Du Xiaofu like a tide of beasts. What a terrifying technique! Dongli Diao trembled. Under such a terrifying aura, it was impossible for him to participate. That was the battlefield of honorable realm experts. The souls of all the 7-star Hall's disciples were trembling. Du Xiaofu stepped into the void, and purple gold lightning arcs wrapped around his body. He stood valiantly within the purple gold lightning. Forming a hand seal, a pair of golden wings spread out from Du Xiaofu's back. The golden light was boundless, and it was covered with purple gold lightning arcs. Walala! As the wings spread out, a peerlessly overbearing aura swept across the sky from Du Xiaofu's body. Lightning arcs spread out to the depths of heaven and earth. Du Xiaofu soared through the sky. Everywhere he passed, the beast tide was destroyed and crushed. Roar! Sho Sha's huge beast body pounced forward, and a ferocious claw stretched out from the rolling dark clouds. It wanted to destroy everything, and it ruthlessly tore towards Du Xiaofu. Remnant soul beast, don't be so arrogant, Du Xiaofu shouted. He waved his right arm, and his 5 fingers curled slightly. A claw was stretched out, and a visible golden light burst out. Dazzling talisman runes wreaked havoc within the claw like golden lightning. It was as if a golden-winged rock was about to spread its wings and soar into the 9 heavens. Under such a claw, the densely packed beast-tide phantoms all felt their meridians and souls trembling. It was as if they were facing a supreme being, and they all exploded. Sho Sha's expression changed, and his blood-red eyes faintly flashed with fear. Countless golden lightning snakes swept out from the claw, and in an overbearing manner, it ruthlessly landed on Sho Sha's lion, tiger, and wolf phantom's claw. The golden light burst out, and after suppressing Sho Sha's claw, it easily destroyed it. The rolling dark clouds in the sky were torn apart. Bang! Sho Sha's huge body smashed into the ground, and his huge claw was destroyed. It took a long time for him to recover, and his eyes were filled with shock. Du Xiaofu's attack was the power of the purest yang. The fusion of the golden-winged rock and the power of lightning could definitely be considered the purest and purest yang energy. It made it difficult for Sho Sha to recover from his injuries. What a powerful human. It seems that he has obtained a great opportunity in the divine lightning cauldron. Otherwise, he would not be so powerful. While Hun Xie's eyes were filled with shock, there was a burning look in them. His blood-red eyes locked onto Du Xiaofu, and he said to the woman beside him, "If we can devour his primordial spirit, we will definitely gain great benefits. We cannot miss this opportunity." The woman smiled, and she was as elegant as a budding lotus flower. However, there was a hidden charm in her eyes, and she quietly withdrew the shock in her eyes. She said to Hun Xie, whose face was covered by a black robe, "I am afraid that we will have to join forces. This human is not ordinary." "Then let's join forces." Hun Xie's eyes were filled with blood-red light. As his voice fell, a murderous aura pierced through the sky like lightning. The murderous aura was like a vast ocean, and its momentum was shocking. In the next instant, Hun Xie's foot stomped on the air, and the entire sky trembled. A murderous aura enveloped his fist, and it directly blasted towards Du Xiaofu. The terrifying aura shook the heavens and the earth. Du Xiaofu raised his head. This was the first battle after his transformation. This was the first time he had faced a supremacy head-on. Although the three of them were evil spirits, their strength was not inferior to ordinary supremacies who had just become supremacies. Come on. Du Xiaofu's eyes glowed with a purplish gold color. Golden runes spread out from his body, and purple lightning burned like flames. The lightning dashed against the void and shook as he directly punched out. The domineering aura wanted to suppress everything. Rumble. In such a collision, the terrifying void was directly torn apart. The murderous aura and lightning wreaked havoc everywhere, causing Lin Weiqi, Shi Tu, Wu Mashang, and the others below to tremble in fear. They could not join in, and they did not dare to be affected at all. Puny human, die. Hun Xie shouted in a gloomy voice after his punch was repelled. His body instantly turned into a huge giant, and his murderous aura rolled like a tornado. His huge body took a step forward, and Hun Xie looked down at Du Xiaofu from above. He was like a demon overlooking the heavens and earth. His murderous aura soared, and strange black and red runes condensed to form a terrifying palm print, which suddenly smashed down. Under the palm print, the murderous aura swept out, and the void was boundless. It made people's souls tremble. Du Xiaofu's hands formed a seal with lightning speed, and afterimages flew out. The vigorous Xian Qi in his body was like a torrential flood, and it flowed along the seal in front of him. In the end, it condensed into a golden palm print, which caused the void to tremble violently. The golden palm print floated above Du Xiaofu's palm, and a powerful energy spread out from it, causing the void to tremble violently. Xiaoyang seal. Du Xiaofu's palm print met it. His every move had a majestic aura, and it was as if he was the only supreme being. The golden palm print shone brightly, and in a flash, it violently collided with Hun Xie's huge palm. Chapter 958. Rumble. A terrifying power exploded, destroying the void. The overbearing energy and murderous aura caused the heaven and earth to tremble. Qila, Hun Xie's palm print, was smashed into smithereens. His body was blasted back and shattered into pieces. The young hall master is so strong. At this moment, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Shi Tu, and Tao Yu were all shocked. Du Xiaofu stepped into the air. He was brave and invincible. His body was covered with purple lightning. Qilala. The void fluctuated. Phantom's seductive figure appeared behind Du Xiaofu. Her bright red silk dress fluttered. Her beautiful black hair suddenly broke free from her bright red hairband and danced. A suction force seemed to form around her body. It was like a whirlpool. Then, a bright red light pillar swept out like a bright lightning and instantly appeared behind Du Xiaofu. How dare you sneak attack my father? A tender and clear voice was emitted. At this moment, little Xingxing's petite body appeared behind Du Xiaofu in a ghost-like fashion. Little Xingxing's chubby and cute little face had an unconcerned expression. Little Xingxing's pinkish little mouth opened and sucked, swallowing the blood-light pillar that could penetrate through space. Little Xingxing's face showed that he had not had enough. Your strength is only SOSO. As his clear voice sounded, little Xingxing's body crossed the void. His body was covered by a blazing golden flame. That golden flame burned fiercely and was extremely bright. Little Xingxing's body was sparkling and bright. His little hand was as white as jade. Divine light burst out, and he directly slapped towards Phantom. At this moment, Phantom's expression changed drastically. It was as if she had met the most terrifying thing. Mei Ling's lithe and graceful figure was extremely moving. Her bright red dress fluttered in the wind, revealing her pure white arms and slender legs. Even in this moment of panic, she was still extremely beautiful, moving one's heart. Her red hand and palm collided. Boom! Such a collision caused talisman runes to explode. The terrifying power shook the void. Dongli Diao, Lin Weiqi, and the others below could only be stunned. Dang dang. Under the collision of power, little Xingxing's small body only shook slightly, but the Phantom was blasted back dozens of feet. The blood and fiendish aura on its body was chaotic, and its aura was weak. Little Star is actually so strong. Goo goo. Dongli Diao, Rockhead, Taoyu, Lin Weiqi, and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They were even more shocked than when they saw Du Xiaofu's current strength. The Phantom looked at Little Star in shock. Compared to Han Xie and Shou Sha, she was a real demon spirit with a physical body. She had the body of a red spider lily, so she was a bit stronger. Even if it was the martial, venerable Xuanmiao of the human race, she was confident that she could face him head-on. However, at that moment, she was being ruthlessly suppressed by the little girl. She could sense an extremely dangerous existence from the little girl. As expected, Jiangxin is up to something. "Let's go," cried the Phantom. She had a bad feeling. The little girl and the young man were already impossible to deal with, let alone Jiangxin. She couldn't help but worry. Chi-Chi, Han Xie, and Shou Sha recovered, and their human forms shot into the air. Following the Phantom, the three of them instantly pierced through space, their bodies transforming into streaks of light as they attempted to leave. Du Xiaofu stepped into the air, the violet light in his eyes unrestrained. Seeing the three of them about to leave, he said calmly, "You want to leave now? It's a bit too late." As soon as he spoke, Du Xiaofu waved his hand and released his consciousness. Boom! In that instant, the air trembled. The enormous divine lightning cauldron began to tremble, and from the depths of the void, violet lightning clouds suddenly surged forth, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Walala! Arcs of violet lightning shot out, sealing off the vast space around them. A domineering aura of destruction descended, solidifying the surrounding space. What's going on? That human can activate the divine lightning cauldron? Not good. The Phantom, Han Xie, and Shou Sha were just about to flee when they sensed something. Their expressions changed drastically. However, before Mei Ling and the other two could come back to their senses, the purple gold lightning and the purple thundercloud above them gathered into dense thunderbolts that fell on the three of them. The divine lightning cauldron is moving. At the same time, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Wu Masheng, and the others were all shocked. Jiangxin raised his head, his jet-black eyes rippling violently. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Bolts of purple gold lightning continued to descend. That terrifying destructive power descended. It was the bane of evil spirits to begin with. Roar! Roar! An ear-piercing roar reverberated through the air. Evil spirits roiled around Han Xie, and Shou Sha howled. Bolts of violet lightning fell, easily destroying their monstrous baleful aura. The strange, blood-black runes shattered. They couldn't resist at all. Phantom's lithe body emitted blood-red runes that filled the sky, forming a river of blood in the air. Within the river of blood, a huge scarlet spider lily bloomed. It was like fresh blood dripping down, carrying with it the aura of reincarnation. But at this moment, the river of blood around the flower couldn't resist the violet lightning that covered the sky. Rumble, rumble. The thunderclouds that occupied the sky shrouded the sky. A monstrous pressure emanated from them, rippling through the air, causing the entire space to tremble. Terrifying energy ripples spread out from the purple gold lightning, and the surrounding space started to crack inch by inch along with the sizzling sound of electric sparks spreading out. Why is the purple lightning cauldron moving? Stone, Dongli Diao, and the others felt a chill spread from the bottom of their hearts as the terrifying lightning descended. In the face of such shocking destructive power, even their souls trembled. Dazzling purplish gold and silver light poured down as countless bolts of lightning descended from the sky, densely enveloping the surrounding space. Phantom, Shou Sha, and Han Xie couldn't escape at all. The violet lightning wreaked havoc. Phantom, Han Xie, and Shou Sha's aura became weaker and weaker. The surrounding space was completely frozen, making it impossible for them to escape. If this continued, they would be completely annihilated. Human, let us go. We will mind our own business. Phantom shouted as the river of blood churned. They didn't expect the human to be able to activate the divine lightning cauldron. You are all evil spirits. If I let you out, you will definitely cause great suffering. I can't let you live. Du Xiaofu shouted as he stepped into the void. Purple gold lightning rippled around him, making him look like a god of thunder. Lightning flashed in his eyes as he looked at Mei Ling and the others who could only defend against the purple-gold Xian lightning with all their might. He said, "Considering that it is the will of the heavens for you to gain sentience and cultivation is not easy, I will spare your lives if you submit to me and follow me. Otherwise, I can't let you live, lest you go out and bring disaster to the world." "We will never submit to a human," Shosha shouted. He wasn't willing to submit. He was formed from the soul of an ancient beast. Deep in his soul, he wasn't willing to submit to a human. "Then I will destroy your divine souls." Du Xiaofu didn't mind. He activated the divine lightning cauldron. It wouldn't be too difficult for him to deal with the 3 evil spirits that were afraid of the divine lightning cauldron. Rumble. The dense purple-gold thunderbolts continued to descend with terrifying power. The void churned and the space rippled. Shou Sha, Hun Xie, and Phantom's aura became weaker and weaker. Their runes were shattered, and they couldn't hold on for much longer. "Human, we are willing to follow you for 100 years. How about it? After 100 years, you will let us go. If you don't allow it, we will not follow you even if you turn us into ashes." Phantom's voice resounded from the river of blood. As a demon spirit, one of the top existences in the world, Phantom had the pride of a demon spirit. That pride was deep in her soul and was sometimes more important than her life. Chi la la la, as Mei Ling's voice fell, the terrifying and dense purple-gold lightning in the void suddenly retracted. The destructive aura slowly dissipated along with the deafening roar of thunder. Du Xiaofu looked at the red spider lily in the river of blood. It was tender and beautiful. It was as red as blood and covered in blood-red runes. Its terrifying aura wasn't any weaker than the undying grass or the dark penetrating grass. Du Xiaofu could understand the pride that came from the depths of a demon spirit soul. It was just like some extraordinary humans. Sometimes, they would rather fight to the death than be humiliated. "Hun Xie, Shou Sha, what about the 2 of you?" Du Xiaofu looked at Shou Sha and Hun Xie, who were tightly wrapped by the ominous runes. Lightning flickered in the depths of his eyes. As the ominous aura spread out, the weakened Shou Sha and Hun Xie appeared in the void. Their blood-red eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. Their aura was weak, and they were filled with fear. After exchanging a glance, Shou Sha and Hun Xie nodded at Du Xiaofu and said in unison, "We are willing to follow you for 100 years. But after 100 years, you will let us leave." "All right." Du Xiaofu nodded. The lightning in his eyes dimmed, and a trace of a smile flashed across his face. Then, he turned serious and his voice was filled with a kind of majesty as he said to Shou Sha, "I won't trust you for the time being. I will place a soul imprint in your Yuan spirits. If you betray me, don't blame me for destroying your souls. After 100 years, I will return your freedom and protect your freedom. But if you dare to cause trouble in the world, don't blame me for being impolite." The blood river rippled, and the blood-red runes on the red spider lily were released. Phantom turned into an enchanting figure. Her bright red silk dress fell to the ground, outlining her curvaceous figure. But at this moment, there was a faint dimness in the depths of Phantom's eyes. A moment later, under the divine lightning cauldron, Du Xiaofu formed a hand seal. Mysterious runes soared into the sky, and he placed a soul imprint in Phantom, Shou Sha, and Hun Xie's minds. He wanted the 3 of them to follow him for 100 years. Chapter 959. Third Young Master. Phantom, Shou Sha, and Hun Xie bowed. From now on, they would follow him for 100 years. 3 supremacy evil spirits, Dongli Diao, Tao Yu, and the others gasped. Those were 3 terrifying supremacy evil spirits. Boom! Under Jiangxin's shocked gaze, Du Xiaofu kept the purple lightning profound cauldron. The divine lightning cauldron that had been hovering in the air for countless years turned into a purple lightning bolt and disappeared into Du Xiaofu's dantian. Gugu, Lin Weiqi, and the others gasped. That was the divine lightning cauldron in the sealed ancient lands. It had left behind countless legends in the Middle Continent. It was said that the divine lightning cauldron was left behind by a supremacy expert. Now, it was taken away by the young master. 30 years later, when the sealed ancient lands opens, Will there still be people who can obtain the divine lightning body refinement? Tao Yu muttered weakly. His handsome face was filled with a dazed expression. The divine lightning cauldron was taken away. Who would be able to obtain the divine lightning body refinement the next time the sealed ancient lands opens? The divine lightning cauldron can actually recognize its master. Phantom, Shou Sha, and Hunxie sighed. There's still a blood vine spirit inside, right? After keeping the purple gold profound cauldron, Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a smile. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Phantom, Shou Sha, and Hunxie looked at each other. They seemed to have understood something and could only pray for the blood vine spirit. Swoosh, swoosh. After a while, hundreds of figures flew into the sky and left. The divine lightning cauldron no longer occupied the square. Crack, crack. Just as Du Xiaofu and the others left, the square under the purple gold profound cauldron suddenly shook. The indestructible square started to crack. Like a chain reaction, spiderweb-like cracks immediately covered the square. Within the cracks, a blinding light spread out and mysterious runes flashed. It was a seal. At this moment, it was cracking, as if something terrifying was awakening. In the vast mountain range, there was a murderous aura. But for some people, it was no longer dangerous. Rumble. A day later, in the depths of the dark forest, the purple gold profound cauldron, purple gold lightning fell. Purple gold lightning. A blood-black vine giant that was as large as a small town and towering like a mountain peak was charred black by the purple gold lightning. It was a horrible sight to behold. I admit defeat. I don't want the Een spirit crystals, and I'm willing to follow you for another 100 years. The vine giant's hair was filled with strange blood-black vines that were twisting and undulating like blood-black pythons. Its eyes were blood-red and its entire body was filled with a murderous aura. However, at this moment, it was wailing miserably under the purple gold lightning. Its voice was sharp and cold as it resounded through the void. You. Du Xiaofu withdrew his hand seal, and the purple gold thundercloud above him disappeared. A smile appeared on his face. God Kai, Shou Sha, Hunxie, and Mei Ling glanced at the bloodvine demon. Their eyes were filled with schadenfreude and sympathy. In the divine Thunder Mountain range, in front of the 10 peaks, the vast plain was empty. A month ago, this place was crowded with people. Sizzle. But now, the mountain was empty. Only 1 or 2 purple gold lightning arcs remained in this mountain range. At this moment, there was only one beautiful figure left on the 6th summit. Her hair was tied up in a bun, and the long, thin hair at her temples served as a foil to her peerless face. Under her green, tight-fitting clothes, her slender figure was curvaceous and alluring. Are you really that troubled? As long as you come out, I won't find you. Even if you still want to find that Chengxingnan, I won't find you. The woman looked forward. Her thin eyebrows, which were supposed to be gentle, were tightly knitted. Her peerless face was haggard, and her big eyes were solemn. Swoosh! The quiet mountain range suddenly fluctuated. Dozens of figures suddenly appeared in the sky. These dozen or so people appeared without a sound. They were all dressed in similar black clothes, like ghosts. Only their eyes were exposed outside the black hood of their robes, flickering with a fierce light. A yellow-robed figure stood quietly at the front. His head was covered by a hood, revealing only a pair of deep eyes. Faintly, there seemed to be some lightning flickering within them. If Du Xiaofu was here, he would be able to recognize that this yellow-robed figure was the mysterious person who pretended to be Ji Mo's minister in Alioth Hall. In the end, that person was frightened by Fairy Yu, Crazy Honored, and the other experts and fled. Who would have thought that he would appear in the divine Thunder Mountain range? Swoosh! A mysterious jade scroll appeared in the yellow-robed figure's hand. Strange runes were flowing on it. He looked at the mountain range in front of him. His eyes were flickering with lightning as he said with a slightly aged voice, "The legend is true. Lord Devil God is still alive in this world. He is awakening. Lord, there is someone below." Behind the yellow-robed figure, a black-robed man said respectfully. The yellow-robed figure turned around and looked at the 6th peak below. A fierce aura fluctuated as he said, "Seal this place and kill him." "Yes, Lord." The black-robed man nodded. He then flew out and landed on the sixth peak. Who is it? On the sixth summit, Ouyang Shuang's large and beautiful eyes abruptly looked up and saw a black-robed figure pouncing down. The sharp aura he exuded indicated that he did not come with good intentions. With a wave of his hand, runes erupted from the long sword in his hand, and he shot through the air like a rainbow. Although she was not as strong as Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger, Yi Piaoling, and the others, Ouyang Shuang had obtained many opportunities in the sealed ancient land. Her cultivation had already stepped into the martial king realm. Her strength was not bad. Swoosh! The strange black-robed man flew down and ignored Ouyang Shuang's sword. Suddenly, a large amount of lightning surged out of his hand and condensed into a claw in his palm. He directly grabbed Ouyang Shuang's sword and shattered it. Then, the terrifying claw grabbed at Ouyang Shuang. The terrifying aura distorted the space, and the murderous intent was fierce. Martial Royal Realm. Ouyang Shuang was shocked. The terrifying aura was already at the Martial Royal Realm. She, who was only at the Martial King Realm, could not fight against it. She did not even have the strength to dodge. Am I going to die? It's a pity that I didn't wait for you to come out. I didn't get to see you again. The terrifying aura spread and collapsed. Ouyang Shuang closed her eyes slightly, and a hint of regret appeared on her beautiful face. You are only at the Nirvana realm of the Martial Royal Realm. You are courting death. A fierce voice resounded in the void. When the voice was heard, a purple-robed figure mysteriously appeared in front of Ouyang Shuang. A domineering and sharp aura erupted from his body like a volcano. He punched out, and there was a flash of golden light. It was brilliant and dazzling, and it was also surrounded by lightning. Then, it landed directly on the claw of the former black-clothed man. At this moment, when that familiar voice sounded in her ears, Ouyang Shuang's eyelashes trembled, and her large and beautiful eyes suddenly opened. What entered her sight was that extremely familiar back view. Rumble! A dull sound exploded on the mountain peak. The black-robed man did not even have time to react. His eyes were filled with fear as his body was directly shattered into a bloody mist by the punch. Swoosh, swoosh! At the same time, a spatial crack appeared in the space in front of them. Hundreds of figures suddenly walked out in a strange manner and landed on the sixth peak. Whoosh! A terrifying aura fluctuation swept across the mountain peak. The purple-robed youth waved his sleeve and scattered the terrifying energy. Then, Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at the graceful woman behind him. He asked in a rather fierce and worried voice, "What are you doing here alone?" When that determined and resolute face appeared in front of her, Ouyang Shuang blinked her large and beautiful eyes. Soon after, that exceptional face of hers became furious. Her fist landed on that firm chest as she cried out in a loud and lovely voice, "I am only waiting for you to come out. What else can I do here? You, on top of causing others to worry, you even dare to be fierce to me." Du Xiaofu was caught off guard by Ouyang Shuang's sudden change in attitude. Moreover, he had always been wary of this tomboy. He was stunned on the spot. "Father, that guy up there should be very strong, right?" Little Xingxing landed beside Du Xiaofu. On his chubby little face, his pale golden eyes were fixed on the yellow-robed figure in the void above him. "You have a daughter?" When she saw little Xingxing, the furious Ouyang Shuang was stunned. She stared at Du Xiaofu in astonishment. "It's a long story. I'll tell you later." Du Xiaofu gestured for Ouyang Shuang to step back. He felt the terrifying aura above and raised his head slightly. When he saw the yellow-robed figure, golden light suddenly gushed out from his clear eyes. "It's an expert." Jiangchen, Phantom, Shosha, Evil Soul, Bloodvine, and the others landed. They all felt the terror of the yellow-robed figure in the sky. "It's him." Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Wu Mashang, and the others naturally recognized the yellow-robed figure. When they saw the yellow-robed figure, their expressions changed. "So it's you, kid. It's so easy to get you." Stepping into the sky, his yellow robe fluttered slightly. Lightning flashed in his eyes as an old voice rang out. The yellow-robed figure sneered. "It's so easy to get you." The yellow-robed figure was aware of the heavenly pride battle in the space-time symbol array. It wasn't difficult for him to recognize Du Xiaofu. Lightning flashed in his eyes as he looked at the purple cloth wrapped around the purple-gold heavenly tower behind Du Xiaofu. He said coldly, Xiahou Fenglei's Yuan spirit should be in there. Hand over Xiahou Fenglei's Yuan spirit, and I'll consider sparing your life. Chapter 960. Du Xiaofu's strength had increased greatly in the sealed ancient land, and he had the purple lightning profound cauldron. However, he did not dare to be careless in front of the yellow-robed man. This person was on the same level as first Martial Uncle Kuang Zun and second Martial Uncle Fairy Yu. His strength was definitely not ordinary. If you want to take my life, I'm afraid you're not strong enough. Du Xiaofu spoke. His tone was as domineering as ever. Although his opponent was strong, Du Xiaofu was not the same as before. He had the Phantom and the other two behind him. They were all supremes, and the Bloodvine was not ordinary. Now that he had the purple lightning profound cauldron, Du Xiaofu had something to rely on. Moreover, Du Xiaofu did not plan to let the yellow-robed man go. This person had pretended to be his martial uncle GMO and attacked his master. Once he had the chance, he would make him pay the price. You seem to have improved a lot. You have some people to rely on. The yellow-robed man looked at Du Xiaofu. His gaze swept past the Phantom, Beast Killer, Soul Evil, Bloodvine, and Jiang Chun behind Du Xiaofu. In the end, his gaze stopped on little Xing Xing for a while. Then, the yellow-robed man's gaze did not seem to care. He continued to look at Du Xiaofu and said in a slightly old voice, however, it seems that you guys are not enough. No one can save you today. Be careful later. Leave if you see that the situation is not good. Du Xiaofu whispered to Ouyang Shuang, Lin Wei Qi, Dong Li Diao, and the others. Leave that brat to me. You guys deal with the others. End it quickly. Don't attract the attention of the people far away. The yellow-robed old man also waved his hand slightly at this moment. Fierce lightning flashed in his eyes, and there was a trace of killing intent. Yes, my lord. The 10 odd black-robed men nodded. As soon as they finished speaking, a powerful aura spread out. The wind blew and clouds surged. Lightning flashed faintly. More than 10 auras made the divine thunder mountain range freeze. Surprisingly, there were 3 Zun-level auras. They weren't weaker than Phantom, Shou Sha, and Hun Xie. There were also a few auras that were extremely close to the Venerable Realm, and some had even reached the half-step Venerable Realm. The rest were all experts in the Martial Emperor Realm. Who are these people? How can they be so strong? Hurry up and notify the experts in the palace. At the same time, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Wu Mashang, Tao Yu, Sun Wu, and the others took out jade slips and crushed them in their hands. Those were the jade slips for emergency news from the various palaces, in case they were needed in times of crisis. After all, this time, the people who were gathered together were the pinnacle of the younger generation from the various palaces, and there must not be any accidents. Lightning aura. Are these people related to the power of lightning? Du Xiaofu lifted his head. There seemed to be a lightning energy aura around these mysterious people. However, he was certain that these people only had some understanding of the lightning profound. None of them had lightning martial veins. Kill. At the same time, the dozens of strange black-robed men above also rushed down and instantly launched a terrifying attack. Attack with all your might. Du Xiaofu waved his hand, and Phantom, Beast Killer, Evil Soul, and Bloodvine Spirit took the lead in attacking. Let's attack together. Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Stone, Sun Wu, and a few other extraordinary ones also soared into the sky and used various skills and ultimacies to block the attacks. Kill. Du Xiaofu's face was covered with coldness. He soared into the sky and stretched out his arms. He was like a divine bird that flapped its wings and soared into the sky. He then threw out a punch and golden light burst out. A strange black-robed man at the half-step Venerable Realm burst out his aura and shook the void. He wanted to suppress Du Xiaofu. However, the final outcome was that the black-robed man was blasted apart by Du Xiaofu's punch amidst a rumbling sound. His body was directly transformed into a bloody mist of fragments, and he didn't even know how he died. He had killed a half-step Venerable Realm expert with a punch. The surrounding mysterious black-robed men revealed obvious fear in their eyes. He killed a half-step venerable realm expert with a punch. How powerful did he have to be to do that? You're really not weak. However, let's end this now. The yellow-robed old man's figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. As soon as he finished speaking, a vigorous dark qi energy surged out from the surface of his body along with runes. It surged in the void like a waterfall. The mysterious runes in the dark qi were entwined. In the end, it strangely enveloped Du Xiaofu and trapped Du Xiaofu within. Rock's chaos-shattering claw. Just as the strange energy spread over, Du Xiaofu appeared under the energy rune shield at lightning speed. Du Xiaofu swung out his claw in an extremely domineering manner. The golden claw print was swung out and landed heavily on the rune energy shield. Rip! The terrifying claw print tore the energy shield apart, and Du Xiaofu's figure instantly retreated rapidly. Looking at Du Xiaofu, who had left the rune energy shield, the yellow-robed old man's eyes were filled with shock. Bang bang! Almost at the same time, in the void not far away, little Xingxing swung his fists. His fists were wrapped in golden flames, and a half-step venerable realm expert died tragically. You're really quite powerful. I can't let you live. As soon as the yellow-robed old man's voice sounded, he waved his hand and a dazzling light suddenly swept out from the void. A terrifying aura rippled in the surroundings, and a bolt of lightning wreaked havoc. Suddenly, it charged towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. He waved his hand, and the mysterious runes flickered. They condensed into golden wings of the great rock and protected him under the mysterious runes. Golden wings protection. This was the technique of the great rock. Du Xiaofu had comprehended it from the great rock technique. It was the ultimate defensive technique of the great rock clan. Rumble. As the lightning struck, the terrifying lightning surged into Du Xiaofu's body and destroyed the mysterious runes in the shape of the golden wings. PFFF, Du Xiaofu's body was thrown back. Under the tremendous force, his blood was in turmoil, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of pale golden blood. The power of the lightning couldn't hurt Du Xiaofu. However, the terrifying power was far beyond that of a beginner venerable realm expert, and Du Xiaofu couldn't withstand it. After being thrown back for more than 100 feet, Du Xiaofu barely managed to stabilize himself. I've said it. You're not strong enough. The yellow-robed old man's eyes were sharp and gloomy. Without any pause, he pounced forward again. A claw print attracted the lightning in the void. With the momentum of the lightning, it enveloped Du Xiaofu once again. Creak. The claw print was accompanied by lightning, and the space along the way was torn apart. Wherever the claw print and lightning passed, 5 pitch-black space marks were revealed. This was the real tearing of space. Caw-caw. Even the mountain peak below, under the sweeping force of this energy, cracked and exploded, revealing fissures on the ground, and huge rocks were blown to pieces. The yellow-robed old man's strength had reached an absolutely terrifying level. Father, be careful. Little Xingxing cried out loudly. Her petite body arrived in front of Du Xiaofu in a ghostly manner. Her eyes were filled with golden light. Suddenly, ink-black talisman inscriptions shot out from her small, jade-white hands. A tortoiseshell-like armor blocked in front of her. The mysterious runes on the pitch-black, tortoiseshell-like armor swept across the sky and directly collided with the yellow-robed old man's claw print. Boom! With such a collision, pitch-black space cracks spread out. In the surrounding mountains below, many of the mountain peaks cracked and exploded, revealing ravines after ravines. The pitch-black, tortoiseshell-like armor shook but was undamaged. However, little Xingxing's body was thrown back dozens of steps along with the pitch-black, tortoiseshell-like armor. He was thrown back to Du Xiaofu's side. Beast race, what a hard tortoiseshell-like armor. It's a treasure. Looking at the pitch-black, tortoiseshell-like armor in little Xingxing's hand, the yellow-robed old man's eyes lit up. It was not difficult to know that it was definitely a precious treasure. The yellow-robed old man's eyes burned with passion. He rushed out again and attacked little Xingxing. As he formed a hand seal, he grabbed at little Xingxing's tortoiseshell-like armor as if he wanted to get rid of little Xingxing first. Roar! Little Xingxing suddenly let out a dragon's roar and transformed into a huge, ferocious dragon. The black tortoise divine shell on his back that his father had left behind began to explode with pitch-black runes and blocked the yellow-robed old man's hand seal. Boom! However, little Xingxing's huge and ferocious dragon body fell from the impact and smashed into the mountain peak below. The surrounding ground cracked and exploded. It's the beast race. On the mountain peak, Ouyang Shuang's beautiful eyes trembled. She was shocked by little Xingxing. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's feet stepped on the void. His figure drifted like a deity and turned into an illusory figure. When his figure appeared again, Du Xiaofu was already behind the yellow-robed old man. His hand seal changed and finally, a brilliant light erupted in front of him. Bright and resplendent runes condensed into a palm seal. A resplendent golden palm seal immediately floated above his palm. Xiaoyang seal, Du Xiaofu shouted. The palm seal pierced through the sky and slammed towards the yellow-robed old man in a flash. You're overestimating yourself. You still have a long way to go. The yellow-robed old man turned around and shouted. He waved his hand and met with the palm seal. The palm seal condensed and covered the sky. It was crystal clear and emitted a dark light. The palm seal was like a meteorite that fell from the sky and covered the divine Thunder Mountain range. It caused the void to tremble and streaks of terrifying dark light fell. The two terrifying palm seals suddenly collided with each other under everyone's gaze. An earth-shattering sound suddenly rang out in the sky. Rumble. The two earth-shattering collision caused terrifying rune energy ripples to sweep out like stormy waves. At the place where the two palm seals collided, the surrounding space seemed to have collapsed into a huge black hole. It swallowed the light of energy and made people's hearts turn cold. Chapter 961. Du Xiaofu's body was like a bird with broken wings. He fell from the sky and crashed into the mountain below, causing a small mountain to collapse. Golden blood spurted from his mouth. The yellow-robed elder wanted to end the battle quickly. He didn't even give Du Xiaofu time to catch his breath. As soon as Du Xiaofu crashed into the mountain, he pounced on Du Xiaofu again. The hand under the long sleeves of the yellow-robed old man transformed into a claw. Once again, the yellow-robed old man grabbed at Du Xiaofu. The claw was wrapped in lightning and a powerful force spread out, causing Du Xiaofu, who had just crawled out from the shattered rocks, to feel pain on his skin. A purple-gold color surged in Du Xiaofu's golden eyes. Arcs of lightning rippled in his eyes, and the purple lightning profound cauldron surged. Du Xiaofu knew that he couldn't reveal the fact that he had the purple lightning profound cauldron. Such a treasure was enough to make the 9 great powers of middle ground fight over it. Once it was revealed, it would undoubtedly do more harm than good. There would be endless trouble in the future. Du Xiaofu knew that possessing the purple lightning profound cauldron was enough to create countless great enemies for him, causing him to fall into a dangerous situation where he could not move an inch. But now that the yellow-robed elder was so powerful, Du Xiaofu knew that he had no choice but to use the purple lightning profound cauldron. At this moment, Little Star saw the situation, but his enormous body had just gotten up. He was too far away and was too slow. Phantom, Bloodvine Fiend, Beast Killer, Hun Xie, and the others were all blocked by their opponents. They couldn't get away. Jiangchen's strength had been greatly reduced, but he was still fighting a mysterious black-robed man at the peak of the martial emperor realm. He wasn't at a disadvantage, but Jiangchen couldn't help Du Xiaofu. Even at his peak, he couldn't stop the yellow-robed elder. Whoosh! The terrifying claw tore through the air and headed straight for Du Xiaofu. Whoosh! Suddenly, there was a ripple in the sky. A terrifying scorching aura appeared in the sky. At this moment, that blazing aura immediately attracted the attention of Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing at the same time. In the sky above the mountain range, just as the claw of the yellow-robed elder was about to land in front of Du Xiaofu, a purple streak of light shot down from the sky and violently collided with the claw of the yellow-robed elder. A terrifying blazing aura erupted, instantly incinerating the air in the air. The high temperature caused the surrounding stone mountains to immediately turn scarlet red. Just as the purple stripe appeared, the yellow-robed old man immediately became alert. He seemed to have sensed something, and his expression changed quite a bit. Immediately, he pulled out his claw, but time seemed to have slowed down for an instant, and the purple stripe had already landed in his palm. Oomph! A frightening strength erupted. At this moment, the face of the powerful and frightening yellow-robed old man immediately paled. A low, muffled groan was emitted from his throat, after which his body staggered a couple of steps back before stabilizing. This sudden change attracted the attention of everyone in the surroundings. Even Phantom, Shou Sha, Hun Xie, Jiangxin, Dongli Jiao, and the several strange black-robed men involuntarily stopped fighting. Their gazes were all stunned as they looked towards the sky. The yellow-robed elder was frighteningly powerful, but he had been forced back by an attack. This was enough to attract everyone's attention and shock. Everyone raised their heads and looked up. The sky trembled as waves of terrifying purple light spread out. Within the light was a graceful figure. The graceful figure appeared. Her 10 slender fingers and her skin was as smooth as cream. There was a faint purple tinge within her snow-white skin. Purple arcs of light spread around the figure. In particular, her eyes were like purple suns that seemed to be able to see through everything in the world. Looking at the figure that had suddenly appeared, the depths of Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly trembled. The graceful figure had a slender waist and an otherworldly temperament like that of a fairy. Her purple robes were fluttering in the air, and there were faint shadows of purple flames on them, outlining her seductive figure. The woman's temperament was like that of an otherworldly fairy. She was the purple flame demonic phoenix that had appeared in the Stone City. It seemed that she had been hiding in his body since then. At this moment, Phantom, Ouyang Shuang, Lin Weiqi, Shou Sha, and the others couldn't help but hold their breaths as they looked at the woman. Her moving appearance, seductive figure, terrifying aura, noble temperament, and charming charm were enough to make any woman envious and all men absent-minded. When the woman appeared, her purple eyes looked down. Finally, after glancing at Du Xiaofu, she looked towards the yellow-robed elder. Her delicate voice was like the sound of nature and was as faint as a fairy's voice. She said, "He is mine. You can leave now." "Who are you?" The yellow-robed elder's heart sank when he heard this. His aura slowly spread out in all directions. The aura on the woman's body caused the yellow-robed elder to be wary. In the previous exchange, he already knew the strength of his opponent. "You don't need to know who I am. If you don't want to leave, then don't leave." The woman's ethereal voice suddenly became clear. It was a voice that could make a man's bones go numb and soft. Hearing it, even one's soul would tremble. As her voice fell, the woman's purple robes fluttered. Her figure was tall and slender, and her pair of slender legs swayed. In the next instant, her delicate hand formed a hand seal wrapped in purple flames and slapped towards the yellow-robed elder. On this purple flame handprint, blazing purple flames erupted like purple lava. It was incomparably hot. Monstrous purple flames soared into the sky, like a sea of fire falling down, distorting space. The yellow-robed elder's face turned grave. He hurriedly formed a lightning palm seal to defend himself. Boom! When the two collided, intense energy fluctuations, blazing aura, and broken runes spread out in a ring shape. It was as if a meteorite had exploded above. Such powerful strength. She is a true expert. Dongli Diao, Lin Weiqi, Shi Tu, and the others could only look at each other and tremble. Dang dang. The yellow-robed elder's body staggered back in the energy storm. His face began to turn pale. When he stabilized his body, a trace of blood quietly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "Mother, it's you." Little Xingxing withdrew her body. Her petite body swept across the sky and pounced towards the purple-robed woman. The purple-robed woman's purple eyes were cold. She originally wanted to continue attacking the yellow-robed elder. However, when she saw the chubby face in front of her, she was absolutely stunned. Her reaction was similar to Du Xiaofu's reaction back then. "Let's go." The yellow-robed elder wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and clenched his teeth. He looked at the purple-robed woman in the sky and immediately left. Swoosh swoosh. A few mysterious black-robed men followed the yellow-robed elder and disappeared from the divine Thunder Mountain range in an instant. "So, you are that dragon seed. Coincidentally, You are somewhat related to me. However, I am not your mother." The woman did not have any intention of chasing after the yellow-robed elder. Her purple eyes looked at little Xingxing, and the corner of her mouth lifted into a smile. The gaze in her eyes was ethereal and dazzling like fireworks. "I know that you are not my biological mother. However, you are my godmother." Little Xingxing had a childish face. Her voice was tender, and her big eyes were blinking. She was extremely cute. Compared to the terrifying person from before, she was like a completely different person. No one would be able to imagine that this cute girl had any relationship with the ferocious, huge dragon that could resist the yellow-robed elder. "Godmother." The purple-robed woman's eyes moved again. Her expression was a little dazed. It seemed that she did not know how to face such a situation. The girl in front of her was indeed quite related to her. Although they were not of the same bloodline and did not have the same bloodline, they seemed to be connected by the same bloodline. "Mother, do you not want me?" Little Xingxing blinked her big eyes and looked at the woman with a pitiful look. Her big eyes seemed to be able to melt a person. "Godmother it is then." The purple-robed woman helplessly nodded her head. Her delicate, jade-like hand held little Xingxing's small hand. Her voice was once again heavenly and ethereal. She said, "Wait for me to retrieve some things. Why don't I bring you back?" The purple-robed woman's body rushed down after her voice sounded. She dragged a layer of afterimages in the empty space. In the next second, she appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. A woman with a moving appearance, a seductive appearance, a noble aura, and a charming charm appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. This caused Du Xiaofu to secretly swallow his saliva. This kind of woman could only be described as a disaster. "Hand over the Dipeng's secret bone." The purple-robed woman looked at Du Xiaofu. Her tone was clear, and her expression was indifferent. It was as though everything was natural. "What secret bone?" Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and secretly prepared himself. The purple-robed woman in front of him had the body of a purple-flamed demonic phoenix. She was even more terrifying than the yellow-robed elder. "Back then, I was the one who placed the secret bone of the Daping in your body. Now, it is time to return it," the purple-robed woman said. "So, it was you who did it." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu finally understood. Back then, he had almost died because of the secret bone of the Daping. It turned out that it was this woman who had done it. "If it was not for me, you would not be where you are today. Now, return the secret bone of the Daping." The purple-robed woman continued. She had come to retrieve the secret bone of the Daping. It was too important to her. Huff. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and looked at the purple-robed woman. His expression was a little more serious as he said, "You seem to have been hiding in my body all these years. Back then, you released the secret bone of the Daping without asking and I almost died. Now, you are here to retrieve it. Do you really treat me as if I don't exist? Don't you think that is a little too much?" Chapter 962. It's also because of this that you are able to reach such a level. The secret bone of the great rock is in your body. Even if I take it, I won't take your life. If you aren't willing to hand it over, I can only do it myself." The violet-robed woman stared at Du Xiaofu, her countenance indifferent. "If you were a little earlier, you might have a chance. But now, I can't hand it over to you." Du Xiaofu inclined his head and stared at the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. Every time he stared at it, he would feel stifled. "The bones of the great rock have already been shattered and have completely fused into my body. You won't be able to take it away even if you want to." Hearing this, the purple-flamed demonic phoenix's eyes flickered for the first time. The surrounding space fell into silence. "It seems like there's a story between the young palace master and her." Dongli Diao and Sun Wu looked at the sky and mumbled. After a moment of silence, the purple-flamed demonic phoenix broke the silence again. Her voice was much clearer as she stared at Du Xiaofu. "If that's the case, then I can only take all your bones and find the bones of the great rock." As the purple-flamed demonic phoenix's voice sounded out, it caused everyone's hearts to shiver. It seemed that this peerless beauty was definitely a cold and ruthless person. "I don't plan to give my life to anyone." Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a smile. His eyes were overflowing with golden light. "Mother, You're not going to attack father, are you? Little Xingxing raised his head and looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix with his pale golden eyes. He pouted and said, Mother, I don't want to attack you, but you can't attack father either. They're really like a family. Tao Yu, Dongli Diao, and the others looked at the three people in the sky. They looked at each other and trembled. This has nothing to do with you. Go back first. After I take the things, I'll bring you back. The human world is not suitable for you. The purple flame demonic phoenix said to Little Xingxing. Little Xingxing shook his head and looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix. He said, Mother, you can't attack father. Otherwise, I can only help father. Girl, you shouldn't be with humans. The purple flame demonic phoenix said to Little Xingxing. Purple light spread from its body, and the purple flames around it fluctuated instantly. The entire void was suddenly filled with rolling purple flames. It was like a huge purple flame cocoon that enveloped the void. At the same time, the graceful figure of the purple flame demonic phoenix disappeared along with the appearance of the frightening purple flames, leaving Little Xingxing behind. Father, run. Mother is stronger than you. Little Xingxing shouted, but he was surrounded by the surging purple flames. The surrounding space had already been completely enveloped, and he was unable to break free. Du Xiaofu's golden eyes trembled when he heard that. Little Xingxing's words sounded rather strange, no matter how he listened to them. Qi. In the next moment, the purple flame demonic phoenix had already appeared before Du Xiaofu. A faint, scorching aura radiated from the surroundings with a faint fragrance. Du Xiaofu looked at the purple-dressed lady before him. He did not run away, but his throat moved slightly. This femme fatale was comparable to Dongli Qingqing, Qi Yishi, Ouyang Shuang, Sima Muhan, and Murong Yurua. That noble aura was definitely above that of Dongli Qingqing and Qi Yeshi. However, the purple flame demonic phoenix before him had a complex temperament that could make any man's heart beat faster. It was not that Du Xiaofu had never seen a beautiful lady before, but at this moment, he could not help but gasp in admiration in front of the purple-dressed lady. The purple-dressed woman stared at Du Xiaofu. Her eyes were like purple suns, otherworldly and otherworldly. Her head of purple hair cascaded down her shoulders, all the way to her perky buttocks. Her long and slender legs outlined a graceful and mature arc. However, at this moment, the purple flame demonic phoenix did not speak again. Her purple eyes suddenly became demonic. Qila. Purple flames spread out from her slender, jade-like fingertips. A claw mark condensed, and the purple-dressed woman attacked Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had a bad feeling. He could feel that the purple flame demonic phoenix was much more terrifying than the yellow-robed elder. The purple thunder profound cauldron was activated in the divine watchtower. He was about to use the purple thunder profound cauldron. We meet again. However, you can't take his life. Qila. Just as Du Xiaofu was about to activate the purple thunder profound cauldron, a voice suddenly sounded and resounded in the sky above the divine thunder mountain range. At the same time, just as the voice sounded, a terrifying aura spread out from the sky. This aura made everyone's soul tremble. The surrounding space suddenly froze, and the world trembled invisibly. A figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu strangely. A palm print was shot out and bright runes were released to resist the purple flame demonic phoenix. Qi La. The space rippled and a dazzling light bloomed. As the space trembled, the purple-dressed lady's expression changed slightly. Her alluring body took a step back and her attack dissipated. The Phantom, Shou Sha, Hunxia and the others were shocked when they saw this scene. Their expressions changed drastically, and they immediately raised their heads to look at the figure that had suddenly appeared. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes were trembling with shock. That voice was too familiar. Although the tone of the voice had changed slightly, Du Xiaofu definitely recognized that familiar voice. Are you all right? You're finally willing to come out? The newcomer turned his head. His figure did not move at all. He was a burly man in his 50s, but he looked extremely young. No matter how one looked at him, his face seemed a little wretched. However, there was a charm that seemed impossible to appear on it. Du Xiaofu looked at the burly man in front of him. On his wretched face, his eyes were like the sea. The aura that spread out from his body made one's soul tremble. It was as if one was facing a majestic mountain that was difficult to climb. Brother Ching-chun, you've recovered? Du Xiaofu was shocked, but his heart was filled with excitement. The burly man in front of him looked a little wretched but had a charm. If he was not Jin Ching-chun, who else could he be? I've recovered and even made a breakthrough. The middle-aged burly man was Zhan Ching-chun, the sacred array prodigy who had recovered. Back then, he had attacked in the Stone City. After the news spread, everyone in the Central Plains knew that he, the terrifying master, was still alive and in the Stone City. Because of this, no one dared to come to the Stone City. Even the Great Wheel sect did not appear in the Stone City. That's great. Du Xiaofu was pleasantly surprised. He could feel that Zhan Qingchuan's aura was extraordinary. It was definitely not inferior to the purple flame demonic phoenix. More importantly, he was happy that Zhan Qingchun had recovered. It's good that you've come out. We'll talk about the details later. Zhan Qingchun nodded at Du Xiaofu and then looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix. His expression was a little serious. I've seen you before. Back then, you were just a wisp of primordial spirit. I didn't expect you to have recovered. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at Zhen Qingchun and its purple eyes rippled. It said softly, I want this human. If you've passed the nirvana stage, I might have to go through a lot of trouble to stop you. But now, you're only one step away from the nirvana stage. Do you think you can take him away in front of me? Zhen Qingchun stared at the purple flame demonic phoenix. His wretched-looking face turned a little fierce. He stretched and said, If you want to make a big fuss, I'll keep you company. It's been a long time since I've stretched my muscles and bones. Roar. A dragon's roar resounded. In the sky, the terrifying purple flame dome suddenly shattered and a huge dragon soared into the sky. The huge dragon coiled up ferociously. Its body was covered in golden flames and starlight. Then, it turned into a small body and landed beside Du Xiaofu. It asked worriedly, Father, are you okay? I'm fine. Du Xiaofu patted little Xingxing's head and smiled bitterly. This ingrate didn't look down on him. At the crucial moment, he still helped him. Looking at little Xingxing, Zhan Qingchun was stunned. He looked at little Xingxing in confusion. Mother, don't do anything. You can just find a way to ask Father to return you a piece of the secret bone. Little Xingxing rushed to the purple flame demonic phoenix's side and shook its arm. He raised his head slightly. His eyelashes were curved and his golden eyes looked pitiful. She wants the Daping's secret bone on you? When Zhen Qingchun heard this, she looked at Du Xiaofu and asked Du Xiaofu through telepathy. The Daping's secret bone has already shattered in my body and has completely merged with me, Du Xiaofu replied to Zhen Qingchun through telepathy. I understand. She is still one step away from nirvana. The Daping's secret bone is very important to her. I'm afraid she will find a way to get it. Although I can suppress her now, I can't do anything to her. Zhen Qingchun frowned slightly, and his expression turned serious. Mother, just ask Father to give you a piece of the Daping's secret bone in the future. Don't do anything, okay? Little Xingxing looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix pitifully. The expression on his chubby face could melt anyone's heart. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at little Xingxing and her purple eyes changed. She glanced at Zhen Qingchun and looked at Du Xiaofu in the end. She opened her mouth and said, I'll give you 3 years. Within 3 years, give me a piece of the Daping's secret bone. 3 years. When Du Xiaofu heard this, he looked embarrassed. Where was he going to find the Daping's secret bone in 3 years? Moreover, did he really owe the Daping's secret bone? Chapter 963. Moreover, it was not hard for Du Xiaofu to know that if the rock's bone was so easy to find, the purple flame demonic phoenix would not have pestered him. In the golden-winged great rock race, any golden-winged great rock was a terrifying existence. Although Du Xiaofu did not know how strong the golden-winged great rock race was, he knew that if he touched the golden-winged great rock race, the consequences would be dire. Also, in these 3 years, the little girl needs to stay by my side. After 3 years, give me the rock's bone in exchange. Before Du Xiaofu could say anything, the lady in the purple dress spoke again. She was noble and elegant, and did not allow anyone to reject her. It was as if everything was natural. No. Du Xiaofu shook his head without hesitation. Little Xingxing could not be a hostage. No matter what, he could not let the purple flame demonic phoenix take little Xingxing away. If something happened, it would be too late for regrets. Father, I'm willing to go with Mother. She won't do anything to me. Anyway, I want to understand Mother's profound meaning. Little Xingxing spoke. He kept blinking at Du Xiaofu as if he was trying to tell him something. Then it settled. After 3 years, prepare the rock's bone. After the lady in the purple dress finished speaking, the purple flames on her body fluctuated. She did not pay too much attention to Du Xiaofu. Holding little Xingxing's hand, her beautiful figure instantly flew into the sky and disappeared in a flash. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaofu shouted softly. He wanted to chase after her, but was stopped by Zhen Qingchun, who was beside him. He said, "Don't chase. She shouldn't have any bad intentions towards the little girl. Moreover, with your strength, it's useless to chase after her. I can't do anything to her either. If we really fight, both sides will suffer in the end." Phew. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. That purple flame demonic phoenix should not be able to threaten little Xingxing. With his current strength, it was really useless to chase after her. Brother Qingchun, have you completely recovered? Your physical body? After taking a deep breath and calming himself down, Du Xiaofu looked at Zhan Qingchun with a strange expression. He kept pinching Zhan Qingchun's face. This physical body seemed to be natural. It was no longer the primordial spirit body. He wondered if this was his elder brother, Zhan Qingchun's true appearance. Bastard, go die. Get. Zhen Qingchun took a step back and slapped Du Xiaofu's face. He glared at him. He looked, and said, He looked. I have completely. My physical body is my body, still my body. It was in the tower pagoda. My physical body still exists, is to knit to God, gods was zings, was to een ina, shins was nin, you. You, to recover, you, it's to recovers. Du Xiaofu chuckled as he withdrew the back of his hand. He was clearly aware in his heart that if it wasn't for Zhan Qingchun arriving in time, then even if the yellow-robed old man was deterred away, the violet flame demonic phoenix would be unable to resist it. I came to take a look at this sealed land. I didn't think I would actually meet you. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Zhen Qingchun became serious and said, It's good that you've come out. You still don't know about Shi Chong and the Stone Dragon Empire, right? He probably doesn't know. He just came out. Ouyang Shuang came forward and glanced at Du Xiaofu. She had learned about Shi Chong and the Stone Dragon Empire from the ancient Heaven sect. However, Du Xiaoqing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman and the others had all rushed back. She had stayed behind to wait for this guy. Shi Chong, what happened? Du Xiaofu asked when he saw Zhen Qingchun and Ouyang Shuang's expressions. It was related to Shi Chong. A while later, Du Xiaofu learned about the Stone City and the recent happenings in the Desolate Kingdom and the Stone Dragon Empire from Zhan Qingchun. On the mountain peak, Du Xiaofu's expression grew increasingly gloomy. An uncontrollable chill spread from his body. Chung Fanshi and a half-step martial saint from the Great Luan sect caused rivers of blood to flow in Shicheng. Countless people died. Your uncles, the Solitary Sword King, the Scarlet Cloud Dragon, and the others were all heavily injured. Yiwuming even injured his soul. If I hadn't recovered in time, Shi Cheng would have been razed to the ground by now. After Zhen Qingchun finished speaking, he paused for a moment. He looked at Du Xiaofu and continued, I didn't do anything because I was afraid that those old fellows from the Great Luan sect would take the opportunity to interfere. That would be harmful to the desolate country. Also, I think it would be better for you to settle this matter personally. Du Xiaofu stood on the mountain peak. Waves of coldness surged in his body. His determined face gradually turned cold. A moment later, the coldness erupted like a volcano and could no longer be suppressed. Du Xiaofu raised his head and shouted, A kind person will be bullied by others. Chung family, do you really think that I'm easy to bully? His shout was like thunder that reverberated in the air. A terrifying coldness soared into the sky, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. That terrifying coldness caused the phantom, Shou Sha, Hun Xie, and Blood Vine spirits' hearts to tremble. A moment later, Du Xiaofu, Jin Qingchun, Ouyang Shuang, Jiangchen, Shi Tu, Phantom, Hun Xie, Shou Sha, and Bloodvine Spirit left. As for Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, and the others, Du Xiaofu had asked them to return to the Seven-Star Hall to report that they were safe. It was likely that the people in the Seven-Star Hall were worried about them. As for his master's recovery, Du Xiaofu felt that returning to the Stone City to deal with the matter of the Stone Dragon Empire wouldn't take too long. However, if he returned to the Seven-Star Hall first, the desolate country would be in danger. After weighing the pros and cons, Du Xiaofu decided to return to the Stone City first. Whoosh whoosh. Not long after Du Xiaofu and the others left, several figures descended from the sky above the divine Thunder Mountain range. Several extremely terrifying auras rippled. Greetings, Grand Elder. Dongli Diao, Lin Weiqi, Sun Wu, and the others immediately bowed respectfully. The super experts in the Seven-Star Hall had finally arrived after receiving their urgent call for help. Early in the morning, in the Stone City, the light of dawn gradually projected a gorgeous light in the east. Then, the rising sun revealed its first ray of light. It was so bright red that it made people's eyes stare at it. Thousands of light pillars shot down from the clouds, enveloping the Stone City. Whoosh whoosh, in the early morning sky above the Stone City, ripples spread out in the air. 9 figures appeared in the air one after another. The invisible aura spread out, immediately causing the space to tremble. The 9 people who appeared were Du Xiaofu, Jin Qingchun, Shi Tu, Ouyang Shuang, and the others. Whoosh whoosh, when the 9 people appeared, some people in the Stone City raised their heads and looked at the 9 people. It seemed that they could see familiar figures. Whoosh, Du Xiaofu's figure flew across the sky and landed in the cemetery outside the Du family. This was where he crawled out from and came back to life. At this time, the cemetery was filled with light. It was already a treasure land. Next to the cemetery, there was a huge, newly repaired mausoleum. In front of the mausoleum, there were many huge stone tablets, and the stone tablets were filled with countless names. This is the tomb of the residents of the Stone City who were massacred. It seems that there are more than 30,000 people in total. Jin Qingchun said beside Du Xiaofu. More than 30,000 people. More than 30,000 lives. Du Xiaofu's body trembled. These were the residents of the Stone City. He grew up in the Stone City. Among these people, there must be some familiar figures. But now, more than 30,000 people were massacred. It was enough to make a river of blood. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to imagine how bloody the scene was. A chill spread in his body. In his eyes, a sharp golden light surged. Whoosh whoosh, inside the Du family, some people saw Du Xiaofu and the others arrive. Several auras immediately rushed out. Then, the auras fluctuated, and figures suddenly rushed to the front of the mausoleum. These figures were Du Zhenwu, Du Zhixiang, and the rest of the Du family. Then who are you? Before Du Zhenwu's voice fell, he looked at the figures and seemed to recognize Ouyang Shuang and Zhan Qingchun. His eyes were immediately stunned. At the same time, the familiar figure turned around and looked at Du Zhenwu and Du Zhixiang, who had just landed, and said, "First uncle, second uncle, I'm back?" "Xiaofu, it's Xiaofu." Looking at the young man who suddenly turned around, that familiar face came into view. Everyone from the Du family trembled as if an electric current surged through them. "Xiaofu, you're still alive. You're really still alive." After recovering from the shock, Du Zhixiang rushed to Du Xiaofu's side and hugged Du Xiaofu tightly. He was so excited that he danced with joy. A strong man had tears in his eyes at this moment. "It's good that you're still alive. God bless the Du family." Du Zhenwu's eyes were wet and his body trembled. He had vaguely guessed everything from various places. He had been looking forward to this day, especially after the news of the sealed ancient land came. And now, this day had really come. "Everyone, come out quickly. Xiaofu is really still alive. Xiaofu is back." An elder of the Du family was so excited that his body trembled and shouted. His voice reverberated in the surroundings, reverberating in the Du family and the Stone City. Whoosh whoosh. Inside the Du family, figures suddenly rushed out like a swarm of bees. The figures of the Du family's disciples soared into the sky and suddenly appeared outside the Du family. Everyone's eyes were trembling as they looked at the familiar face at this moment. Xiaofu is back. Third brother is really back. Our Du family is so lucky. Figures landed one after another. Women and children rushed over and caressed Du Xiaofu's face with tears in their eyes. Some young people were excited and cheered loudly, waving their arms and shouting. Some elders' eyes were wet as they thanked the heavens for protecting them. Chapter 964. I'm sorry for making you all worry, Du Xiaofu said to the gossipy old ladies of the Du family beside him. At this moment, the noisy voices made his heart feel warm. The Rock Emperor is back? The Rock Emperor is back. In a short period of time, the entire stone city trembled. Figures rushed out from the streets and gathered into a dense crowd. They immediately rushed to the Du family's residence. The crowd gathered outside the Du family's residence, but it wasn't noisy. They stood in neat rows. Not long after, the streets inside and outside of the stone city were packed with figures. Everyone seemed to be waiting for something. Their gazes fell on Du Xiaofu. Some old people had tears in their eyes, some young men clenched their fists, and some women and children stood quietly. But at this moment, everyone was strangely quiet. The strange atmosphere made Jiangchen, the Phantom, the Bloodvine, and the others secretly tremble. Xiaofu, a total of 398,432 people were slaughtered. Everyone is waiting for your return. Du Zhixiong's expression turned serious. He looked at the huge stone tablets in front of the tomb and clenched his fists. Lightning flashed in his eyes. Du Xiaofu looked at the citizens of the stone city that had gathered outside the Du family. Then, he turned around and bowed to the mausoleum. His clear eyes were filled with an intimidating light. A debt of blood must be paid in blood. We ask the Rock Emperor to seek justice. The Yi families Yi Baolin and the Bai families Bai Jiru stepped out and bowed with one knee. They had to guard the stone city, so they didn't participate in the war between the two countries. We ask the Rock Emperor to seek justice. A debt of blood must be paid in blood. The entire city knelt down. Their voices were monstrous, reaching the clouds and shaking the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone's suppressed hatred and anger were released. Everyone's eyes trembled. Ever since they confirmed that the Rock Emperor was still alive, they had been waiting for the Rock Emperor to return. The blood debt of the Stone City and the blood debt of the desolate country must be avenged. At this moment, the person they were waiting for had returned. They must seek justice for the tens of thousands of lives that were slaughtered. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across the familiar figures in front of him. His eyes trembled. Xiaofu, more than 30,000 lives. Their blood flowed like a river. We must avenge this. Du Zhixiong's eyes trembled. His eyes were bloodshot, and he clenched his fists so hard that his knuckles cracked. Child. They didn't show mercy. This is blood debt of blood. You must avenge. An old man from the Du family's eyes were bloodshot. How could he not take revenge? Only by wiping out the Stone Dragon Empire and the Chung family can we take our revenge. Yi Baolin's robe fluttered. His eyes were red. His voice reverberated in the air above the stone city. Rock Emperor, please seek justice. Blood debt must be paid in blood. The entire city shouted in unison. The blood debt of the stone city, the scene of corpses everywhere and blood flowing like a river, was something no one in the stone city could forget. Even the old, the weak, the women, and the children were not spared. How cruel. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and clenched his fists. They didn't spare the old, the weak, the women, and the children. This made Du Xiaofu's heart ache. His purple robe fluttered in the absence of wind. A chilling aura surged around him, causing the space of the stone city to change. Blood debt must be paid in blood. Those who offended the stone city will pay 100-fold. The fallen citizens of the desolate country who laid the foundation. His voice was like thunder. Lu Xiaoyu roared at the sky with a sorrowful expression. The rolling sound waves shook the void. Du Xiaofu's blood-red eyes were filled with purple gold lightning. A terrifying aura surged from his body. Rumble. The stone city trembled as the roar came out. Golden light spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. Suddenly, Endless golden light spread out from the sky. Thunderclouds occupied the sky, and arcs of lightning flickered in the sky. Waves of lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. The sky changed color and the sky darkened. What a strong killing intent. Mei Ling's eyes moved. She couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise in her eyes. Just this killing intent alone made her soul tremble. He's really angry. Ouyang Shuang's beautiful eyes trembled. This was the first time she had seen him so angry. A moment later, in the main hall of the Du family, Zhen Qingchun, Du Zhenwu, Du Zhixiang, several elders of the Du family, Jiangchen, the Bloodvine, Phantom, and Ouyang Shuang were all present. After your elder sister, second brother, Little Qing, and Little Tiger came back, the Stone Dragon Empire began to retreat. Although the Great Luin sect sent their younger disciples to the battlefield, the Ancient Heaven sect also sent many disciples. In addition, after the return of the general and Gu Xinyan, even the four kings of the Ghost King Palace, Wu King Palace, Gua King Palace, and Gu King Palace announced their retirement from the war. However, the younger generation is with your elder sister and second brother. In the main hall, Du Zhenwu told Du Xiaofu about the recent situation between the Desolate Country and the Stone Dragon Empire. He wanted Du Xiaofu to know what was going on. Du Zhenwu said, "Many of the Stone Dragon Empire's generals have turned against us. Last night, we received news that the Desolate Country is unimpeded. We have already reached the Tiger Gorge outside the Dragon City. As long as we take the Tiger Gorge, we can reach the Dragon City." The Tiger Gorge. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. He knew about the Tiger Gorge. It was a natural barrier outside the capital of the Stone Dragon Empire. Although the Tiger Gorge was vast, it was extremely dangerous. It was easy to defend and difficult to attack. It was said to be a natural barrier that could protect the capital of the Stone Dragon Empire. It was said that this was one of the main reasons the Stone Dragon Empire built the capital. However, it won't be easy to take the Tiger Gorge. The old kings have already retired. Although the Stone Dragon Empire's strength has been greatly reduced, they still have the Great Luin sect to help them. I heard that the Chung family has been hiding a lot of their strength. It's possible that the Chung family and the Great Luin sect want to have a final battle at the Tiger Gorge. With the Great Luin sect's participation, it's hard to say what the outcome will be. Du Zhenwu was a little worried. Based on the information he received and his understanding of the outside world, he was no longer the leader of a small family in Stone City. The Great Luin sect is suppressed by the Ancient Heaven sect. The Stone Dragon Empire is nothing to worry about. I just don't know what the Great Luin sect is planning to do. If they plan to do something in the Tiger Gorge, it'll be very serious. Zhen Qingchun was sitting upright on the seat of honor. His wretched eyes were filled with charm. Zhen Qingchun was a little worried. Although the Stone Dragon Empire was nothing to worry about, the Great Luin sect was a colossus. They could easily annihilate a country. If they were to do something in the Tiger Gorge, it would definitely be a tragic blow to the Desolate Country. Second brother, when are they planning to attack the Tiger Gorge? Du Xiaofu asked. Zhen Qingchun understood what he was worried about. Looking at the time, your second brother should be planning to attack the Tiger Gorge tomorrow. If they weren't waiting for you, they would have already gone to the Imperial Palace, said Du Zhenwu. Du Xiaofu's eyes were sharp. He knew Du Xiaoqing and Little Tiger's temperament. If they weren't waiting for him, they would have already charged into the Imperial Palace and started a massacre. The army was facing difficulties, but with Little Green and Little Tiger's current strength, no one in the Stone Dragon Empire could stop them. Phantom, Beast Killer, Evil Soul, Bloodvine, follow me to the Tiger Gorge. Du Xiaofu stood up. He was worried about Du Xiaoqing, big sister, second brother, and the others. Besides, there were some debts that he had to settle with his own hands. Be careful. Du Zhenwu, Du Zhixiang, and a few elders of the Du family stood up and reminded Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded and then said to Zhen Qingchun, Brother Qingchun, I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you for this. Since I have nothing to do, I'll accompany you. Who knows, maybe we can meet some old friends from the Great Will sect. Zhen Qingchun smiled and stretched his body. At night, the sky was filled with twinkling stars. It was like a Milky Way made of fine sand, quietly lying in the blue sky. The bright moon hung high in the sky, illuminating the magnificent imperial palace. Imperial Father, they should be attacking the Tiger Gorge tomorrow morning. Cheng Shangnan, who was dressed in a long dress, gently walked into the majestic hall. Her long dress could not cover her tall and slender legs. Her slim waist outlined a moving arc. Her elegant and noble temperament and invisible aura caused the surrounding imperial palace's draconic aura to begin to tremble. No, your grandfather shouldn't have gone to the Stone City. Emperor Cheng stood still. His originally rather fat body seemed to have lost a lot of weight in the past few months. There were a few more strands of white hair in his hair. He seemed to have aged 10 years in just a few months. Cheng Xingnan didn't say anything. Her eyes were unreadable. If the kings don't fight, the Cheng family can't do anything alone. Why did things come to this? Is the Cheng family really exhausted? Emperor Cheng let out a long sigh. His eyes were a little haggard. In the past few months, he had been thinking about where he had gone wrong. His beloved daughter's status in the Divine Light Court was getting higher and higher. The Stone Dragon Empire should be getting better and better. But why did the Stone Dragon Empire fall to this state? The kings were avoiding them, many generals were betraying them, and everyone was deserted. Tomorrow, I'll do my best to protect the Stone Dragon Empire. We haven't reached the end yet. As long as I'm here, the Stone Dragon Empire will still exist. Cheng Xingnan said, and then left the Golden Dragon Palace in a few steps. Chapter 965. The Tiger Gorge was located outside the imperial capital Dragon City. It was a vast mountain range with towering cliffs. Some of the cliffs were as smooth as a mirror, as if they had been split by a giant axe. There were also many valleys that could stop an army. Although the Tiger Gorge was easy to defend and hard to attack, that was only for an ordinary army. It wasn't much of a hindrance to a true expert. On the Tiger Gorge, there was a city wall that spanned across the mountains. It was built exquisitely and majestically. Roar, however, there were quite a few ferocious beast roars and killing cries coming from afar. Along with the waves of killing aura that came over, it caused the gazes of the people on the ferocious Tiger Gorge to become extremely solemn. There are more and more people from the barren country and more demonic beasts. I'm afraid they will attack the Tiger Gorge tomorrow morning. On the city wall, many generals looked solemn. After fighting with the barren country for the past few months, they knew how terrifying the barren country's army and demonic beasts were. The demonic beasts were terrifying. The barren country's army also came from the dark forest. It was a chaotic place. Those who walked out of the dark forest were filled with murderous aura and murderous aura. Now that those people had arrived at the Stone Dragon Empire, they were like wolves in a flock of sheep. Since most of the Stone Dragon Empire's army didn't want to fight, they could only retreat. Don't worry. We still have the First Princess and the Great Lewin sect. The barren country won't win. An old man with a high status in armor looked at the night sky. His eyes were cold as he said to the people around him, "Don't worry. Tomorrow will be the day they die." Outside the Tiger Gorge, there were mountains and cliffs that stretched as far as the eye could see. Roar. In the dark night, murderous aura surged and murderous aura filled the air. On the mountain peak, there was a huge tent that was temporarily set up. In the main hall, light filled the air. In the main hall, there were many people gathered in front of a terrain model of the Tiger Gorge. These figures included the Medicine King Yi Woming, Yi Piaoling, the Peerless Sword King, the Mysterious Dragon King, the Stone Turtle King, the Ice Python King, the Golden Condor King, Yin Machin, Ruo Shui Han, the General, Gu Xinyan, Guo Xiaofeng, the Fort Master of the Mu Family Fort, Mu Mingqing, the Pavilion Master of the 10,000 Clouds Pavilion, Wan Sampang, and many other familiar figures. Tomorrow morning, Little Green, Little Tiger, Muhan, and Silver Condor will break their talisman array first. Vice President, Yi Piaoling, Xiaoman, and Ling Ling, you guys will attack in 4 directions and destroy the Tiger Gorge. As for the experts of the Great Lewin sect, I will ask Senior Qing Yang to secretly control them. In the middle of the ferocious Tiger Gorge, a beautiful woman was giving pointers. Her delicate body was lithe and tender. The woman's temperament was the complete opposite of Du Xiaoman's hot and seductive temperament. She was beautiful like a fairy who had walked out of a painting. She was wearing Xingyu's aunt, Morong Urua. Morong Urua's strength wasn't too tyrannical, but in the past few years, she had been revered by everyone in the world gathering. Especially in the past few months, wherever the army passed, the Stone Dragon Empire was unstoppable. Everyone knew that this had something to do with Morong Urua's strategizing. Many times, under Morong Urua's strategizing, the desolate nation had won against many, taking advantage of the time and place to win. In the most terrifying battle, under Morong Urua's control, the desolate nation had defeated the Stone Dragon Empire's army of 10 million with an army of 100. The Stone Dragon Empire had been utterly defeated and had fled in a sorry state. It was said that among the 5 people who wanted to assassinate the most in the Stone Dragon Empire, Morong Urua was ranked 3rd. A single expert could kill hundreds or thousands of enemies, but Morong Urua's strategizing was enough to utterly defeat the enemy wherever the army passed, causing tens of millions of casualties. This kind of terror was even more terrifying than a single expert in an army. All right, it's settled then. Tomorrow, we'll take down the Tiger Gorge and everything will be over. Du Yunlong's cloud robe fluttered without wind, surging with sharp killing intent. We must be careful of the Great Luan sect. Recently, they've been retreating a little too quickly. If they really want to protect the Stone Dragon Empire, I'm afraid they won't let us take down the Tiger Gorge so easily tomorrow. Morong Urua was also worried. Over the years, her beautiful face hadn't changed at all. Instead, she had honed a dignified temperament in the dark forest. It was slightly enchanting, with a rich charm that was different from the rest. It was enough to make any man lose his soul. Our ancient heaven sect will deal with the Great Luan sect. You can do whatever you want. In the tent, Elder Gu Qingyang sat high above and said to the juniors, I wonder if my brother has come out yet. Du Xiaoqing looked worried. She was still worried about her brother in the sealed ancient land. Hearing this, the faces of everyone in the tent darkened. The sealed ancient land only opened once every 30 years. Being trapped inside, there was no telling what would happen. Moreover, that guy had never come out of the divine lightning cauldron. Don't worry. At least he'll be fine. I can feel that he's getting closer and closer to us. He should have come out of the sealed ancient land. Du Xiaoyao raised her head slightly, her pale golden eyes glinting with a demonic light. The colorful hair on her head had been scorched black by the lightning, but it had mostly recovered. Whoosh! Du Xiaoyao's words immediately caused all the gazes in the tent to land on her. Everyone knew that the World Society and the World Alliance were single-handedly established by that young man. In the past few years, the World Society, the Desolate Country, and the World Alliance had been managed by Medicine King Yi Woming, Du Yunlong, Morong Urua, Li Shui, and the others. However, the core and soul of the organization had always been that young man who had left behind countless legends. That young man had shaken the Central Plains during the Prodigy Tournament, but in the end, he was trapped in the sealed ancient land. Du Xiaoyao, are you telling the truth? That guy has come out? Sima Muhan immediately asked Du Xiaoyao, her pale purple eyes glinting. Don't worry. If Du Xiaoyao said that brother has come out, then brother will definitely come out. Du Xiaoqing nodded. She naturally knew about the relationship between Du Xiaoyao and her brother. Du Xiaoyao's intuition would definitely not be wrong. He's out. I knew it would be fine. Elder Gu Qingyang smiled. The haze that had shrouded his heart during this period was instantly swept away. Haha! Du Yunlong laughed and said sternly, pass down the order. Tomorrow morning, we will attack the Tiger Gorge. Early in the morning, outside the Tiger Gorge, water vapor rose and a hazy fog lingered in the sky. Rumble. In the depths of the gorge, the earth and mountains shook. Countless terrifying giant demonic beasts moved horizontally. Huge rocks were crushed under their feet, and their roars shook the sky. Everywhere they passed, the ground was razed to the ground. Countless figures swept out from behind, and their killing intent soared to the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, in midair, figures that blotted out the sky and covered the earth swept out. Flying demonic beasts flapped their wings and soared through the sky. Like a black cloud spreading out, they blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they swept towards the ferocious Tiger Gorge. Instantly, within the hazy fog outside the Tiger Gorge, countless figures formed a sea of people, and they gathered until the end of one's sight. Kill. Roar. Shocking roars of demonic beasts and the sound of killing resounded like thunder from the army. The entire Tiger Gorge was trembling at this moment, as if there was an earthquake. Not good. The desolate country is attacking. On the Tiger Gorge, when the soldiers saw the army that covered the sky and earth and shook the mountains, their eyes immediately turned grave. Indeed, they have come. Stand. An extraordinary youth stood. He was an outstanding disciple among the younger generation of the Great Luan sect. Although he could not be compared to Dongli Chihuang, he was one of the top figures below Dongli Chihuang. In the central region, he was quite famous. First Princess. At this moment, the group of generals all looked at the tall and beautiful figure at the front. The beautiful figure's long dress fluttered in the wind, unable to hide her alluring curves. Her cold and alluring face did not show the slightest bit of weakness in the face of the overwhelming number of figures and mighty auras. When she was born, she was named Shengnan because her father wanted her to be like a man and protect the imperial family and the Stone Dragon Empire. As the eldest daughter of the Cheng family, she was duty-bound. Ever since she entered the Divine Light Court, she had been leading the Stone Dragon Empire to the outside world. Since she was young, everything she did was based on the Cheng family. She even chose to enter the Divine Light Court because she could bring more influence to the imperial family than Tianwu Academy. Now, in the face of a strong enemy, the Cheng family was deserted, and she had been at the forefront. If it were not for her, the Tiger Gorge would have been trampled by the desolate country. She knew that she could not avoid all of this. The blood on her body came from the Cheng family. Activate the talisman array and prepare the arrow array. The entire army is on standby. On her clear face, her eyes flickered. She held a sword in her hand, and her red lips were tightly shut. Rumble. As her voice fell, the Tiger Gorge trembled. A huge talisman array was immediately set up and enveloped the entire Tiger Gorge fortress. The talisman runes soared into the sky, causing the world to tremble. Even the vast dragon city in the distance could feel the terrifying aura and resplendent talisman runes. Break the array. Sima Muhan flew across the sky. She was wearing a light purple armor and holding the rainbow nether spirit phoenix sword at her waist. She looked extremely heroic. Roar. The little tiger roared. Its huge body released black talisman runes that filled the sky. The sound was deafening. The silver-winged demonic condor expanded its body and flapped its wings, wanting to tear the sky apart. Little Green's body flew across the sky. Terrifying green and red flames surrounded it, burning the talisman runes. The terrifying attack swept across and collided with the talisman array on the Tiger Gorge. Rumble. The terrifying attacks landed, causing deafening sounds to ring out from the talisman array. Powerful energy spread out and spread between the heavens and the earth. Chapter 966. Walala. Energy swept out as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. However, the terrifying talisman array only shook but didn't shatter. This talisman array should be set up by the people of the Great Wheel sect. I'm afraid it's at the level of an 8-star beginner talisman array. Sima Muhan's figure retreated. Her figure under the light purple armor was moving. Her gaze was slightly focused. Let me do it. Du Xiaoyao flew out. A faint golden mark started to flicker between his eyebrows like a flame. The small golden macaque's body then turned into a huge golden ape in mid-air. Eowao! The golden ape roared. The light was dazzling. Its entire body was covered with talisman patterns that evolved. It was full of vitality and connected with the heavens and earth. It gave people the feeling that the heavens and earth were created. It was as if it could see through the essence of all profoundness. Break! Du Xiaoyao shouted. The surrounding space rippled out. His golden eyes were lively, as if he was born with spiritual eyes that looked down on everything. A terrifying aura exploded out. His fist seemed to be able to push everything in all directions and suppress everything as it landed on the talisman array. Rumble. This fist contained a strange power. There was a devouring power on the talisman array. It could devour and destroy the talisman patterns on the talisman array. In the end, the talisman array mysteriously exploded. Pucci, on a cliff in the ferocious tiger gorge, an old man suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock as he said, "This is impossible. That monkey clearly isn't strong enough. How could it break my talisman array?" The talisman array shattered. Feeling the figures that covered the sky outside the ferocious tiger gorge and the killing aura that filled the heavens and earth, countless gazes on the ferocious tiger gorge instantly changed. The talisman array has been broken. Kill. In the sky, Du Yunlong shouted. Lightning flashed in his eyes and a fierce killing aura swept across the sky. Eowo. As Du Yunlong's killing cry sounded out, the demonic beasts and army that blotted out the sky and covered the earth outside of the ferocious tiger gorge suddenly erupted with earth-shaking killing cries, causing the earth to tremble. Like a flood of dark clouds, they charged towards the ferocious tiger gorge. Arrow formation. Chung Shengnan shouted in a tender voice. Her clear and cold face rippled with brilliance as her tender voice reverberated throughout the heavens and earth. Swish, swish. The ferocious tiger gorge was instantly filled with densely packed figures holding crossbows. Numerous arrows whizzed through the air as they violently shot towards the desolate country's army like a torrential rain. As the rain of arrows covered the sky, many demonic beasts and silhouettes were pierced by the rain of arrows and fell from the sky. Counter-arrow formation. Murong Yurua shouted from behind. Cultivators and demonic beasts immediately stepped out. Runes spread out from their shields. Wherever they passed, the rain of arrows would explode, unable to get close. Kill. Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Chenling, Yi Piaoling, and the others each led an army and attacked ferocious tiger gorge from 4 directions. Wave after wave of terrifying energy attacks descended, whistling through the horizon. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the energy attacks landed on the ferocious tiger gorge, causing the mountains to crumble and the earth to shake. It was capable of destroying everything, and it also caused many miserable shrieks to immediately resound. Go! Medicine King Yi Wuming waved his hand and many puppets soared into the sky. They were killing machines that caused the souls of the Stone Dragon Empire's army to tremble as if they had seen a ghost. Kill. Mysterious Dragon King, Solitary Sword King, Golden Condor King, Baeo, Blue Flame Scarlet Leopard, General, Silver Fox, Duo Sha, Qingguyu, Shui Ruhan, In Machin, and Mi Zixia stepped out. Wherever they passed, the rain of arrows would automatically shatter in front of them. On ferocious tiger gorge, Chang Shengnan raised her head and gazed at the mysterious Dragon King, Solitary Sword King, Shui Ruhan, Yi Piaoling, General, Gu Xinyan, and the others. She clearly knew that this was the true strength of the Stone Dragon Empire. Thank you for your trouble, everyone from the Great Will sect. Chang Shengnan turned her head and said to the group of extraordinary young men and women behind her, "It's no big deal. They can't pass ferocious tiger gorge." The leading extraordinary young man stepped out. Behind him, there were also hundreds of figures that soared into the sky, each of them emitting a vigorous aura. As these figures appeared, the sky started to change color. These were the young experts of the Great Wheel sect. They were here to help the Stone Dragon Empire. Kill. These young men and women had already fought against each other several times. When the two sides met again, they didn't even need to speak. Cold, murderous aura rippled as vigorous attacks condensed. Under countless horrified gazes, the hundreds of figures fiercely clashed against each other. Rumble. Terrifying energy surged crazily, as if it was going to tear the sky apart. A large part of the gorge below was destroyed. There were many martial Emperor Realm experts in the gorge. The battle was on the verge of breaking out. On ferocious Tiger Gorge, countless soldiers of the Stone Dragon Empire also rushed out. The terrifying battle, the cries of killing, and the muffled sounds of energy were like endless thunder. Waves of energy spread out and swept across the area like a storm. Kill. Blood for blood. Wipe out the Stone Dragon Empire and destroy the Chung family. The eyes of the Huang country's army were red. Their killing intent was cold. Waves of bloodthirsty battle intent trembled in their bodies. The terrifying battle intent spread through their blood, and turned into a deep roar. It rushed out from ferocious tiger gorge and resounded through the clouds. Chi. Chung Shengnan stepped out in the sky. His body was surrounded by brilliance. The stone dragon wind and lightning sword was in his hand. His aura rippled through the sky. A blazing aura spread out. Du Xiaoqing's green dress fluttered as she appeared in front of Chung Shengnan, wrapped in green and red flames. Little Qing, do you have to do this? Stone City is a pity. Why do you have to make such a huge commotion and let blood flow like a river? Chung Shengnan said as he looked at Du Xiaoqing. What a pity. Blood for blood. If we don't wipe out the Stone Dragon Empire and destroy the Chung family, we won't be able to pay for the tens of thousands of lives in sacrificial Stone City. Du Yunlong's figure rushed out. He held his battle blade at an angle and shouted with a thunderous voice, "The Cheng family is immoral. They should be destroyed. As long as I'm here, the Stone Dragon Empire will exist." Chung Shengnan sighed. His light fluctuated, but there was an absolute majesty that made people feel intimidated. You can't stop me. Du Xiaoqing stepped out. She knew Chung Shengnan's strength. The Bai Fong divine bird's body was activated. A terrifying aura rippled through the sky and burned the void. It made people's souls tremble. Chung Shengnan's eyes focused. His sword was wrapped in a dazzling radiance. It turned into sword shadows that covered the sky and surrounded Du Xiaoqing's body. During this period of time, the two girls had fought many times. However, it was difficult to determine a victor. Rumble. The entire fierce tiger gorge shook. The two armies were fully mobilized. It was a fierce battle. In a short period of time, blood flowed like a river. In the sky, the disciples of the ancient Heaven sect and the Great Luan sect were fighting. Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, the Black Dragon King, the General, Gu Xinyan, the silver-winged demonic eagle, the little tiger, and the others were fighting. Their battle was earth-shattering. It made people tremble in fear. No one could touch them. Amidst the chaotic battle, an elder was floating in the sky. His gaze swept across the fierce battle that was incessantly fierce. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, after which his gaze locked onto Yi Piaoling, who was fighting in the crowd. Swish! The elder's figure disappeared from the void. When he reappeared, he was already behind Yi Piaoling. His face was cold as a lightning-like brilliance swept towards Yi Piaoling. Peak of the complete realm of the Martial King realm. Yi Piaoling turned around, and her expression changed. How sneaky! The Great Luan sect is really shameless. With a thunderous shout, a figure appeared in front of Yi Piaoling like a ghost. It was Yuanli. He punched his fist and blocked his opponent. The ancient Heaven sect had been paying attention to Yi Piaoling and Silver Fox. They wouldn't let the Great Luan sect succeed. It's about time. Follow the plan. Kill as many of them as possible to avoid future troubles. On the cliff of the mountain in the distance, an old man said. His hair was in a bun, and he wore plain clothes. His aura could distort space. It was the Taoist priest of Changdao. Yes, as the voice of the old Taoist of Changdao faded, many figures suddenly dashed out from all around. Their terrifying auras spread across the sky, causing the wind and clouds to surge in the high sky. Bastard of Changdao, come out. Don't hide. At the same time, dozens of figures came from the distance. Gu Qingyang's white robe fluttered. He shouted like thunder. Kill. Behind Gu Qingyang, Chang Mingze, Hu Sankuan, and other strong cultivators flew out to stop the Great Luan sect. Chapter 967. Among those auras, there were a few that had already stepped into the honorable realm. Gu Qingyang, don't go too far. The old Taoist of Changdao dashed out, and his face looked terrible. He had become a laughingstock in the entire Zhongzhou state after being called a grandson. You lost the bet, grandson. How rude. Elder Gu Qingyang yelled. His feet tapped the air, and he dashed out. The long sword on his back was unsheathed, and the shadow of the sword instantly enveloped the old Taoist of Changdao. Seeing this, the old Taoist of Changdao's face turned serious, and he started to retreat quickly. It seemed that he didn't want to be entangled with Gu Qingyang. Recently, he had fought with Gu Qingyang more than 10 times, but he couldn't gain the upper hand every time. Instead, he suffered some losses. The old Taoist of Changdao knew that Gu Qingyang wasn't easy to deal with. Whoosh, whoosh. As the old Taoist of Changdao retreated, streaks of sword radiance came raging. The sword radiance was tricky, and it covered the entire sky. Gu Qingyang, you can't do anything to me. Why bother? The old Taoist of Changdao sneered. As he defended himself, he said in a strange tone, "Do you think the ancient heaven sect can protect this tiny barren country?" As soon as he said that, the runes around the old Taoist of Changdao exploded, and he turned into countless shadows. Several attacks shattered the void, and he defended himself against Gu Qingyang's sword radiance. Then he yelled, "Everyone, attack with all your might. Don't leave any future troubles. Kill." As soon as the old Taoist of Changdao said that, the strong cultivators of the Great Wheel sect attacked with all their might, and they were entangled with the strong cultivators of the ancient heaven sect. Boom! In the sky, Chang Shengnan and Du Shaoqing both retreated a little after colliding with each other. They looked at the tragic battlefield in the Tiger Gorge and sighed slightly. A shadow flashed in their eyes, and they said, "Grand Elders, please attack." Whoosh, whoosh. As Chang Shengnan's voice fell, another 6 figures appeared in the distant sky. 6 astonishing auras rippled out. Among the 6 people, there was an old man in a wide purple robe. He was Ren Leizuan, who had come to escort the disciples to the divine Thunder Mountain range. The other 5 were old men who looked to be in their 60s. What was strange was that these 5 people looked exactly the same, but their clothes were different. The light on their bodies was dazzling, as if they were enveloped by the sun. Although the cultivation aura of these 5 people was not as good as that of the old Taoist of Changdao and Elder Gu Qingyang, they were definitely at the venerable realm. They were not below Leizuan. When these 6 people appeared, 6 venerable realm auras enveloped the entire ferocious Tiger Gorge. The 5th lightning of the Divine Light Court, who has just ascended to Martial Venerable, Elder Gu Qingyang, who was entangled with the old Taoist of Changdao, suddenly darkened his eyes when he sensed those auras. Although the 5 people other than Ren Leizuan were not very powerful among the venerables of the Central State, they were quintuplets. When the 5 of them worked together, they could kill opponents who were at a higher level. Therefore, they were very famous in the Central State. Gu Qingyang, the ancient heaven sect, can't protect the small barren country today. The old Taoist of Changdao sneered. He seemed to have known that the Divine Light Court had secretly sent experts, so he took the initiative to entangle Elder Gu Qingyang. Kill. Ren Leizuan glanced down indifferently. His voice was cold and emotionless. There was a chill in his indifference. Then, he pounced out together with the 5 old men beside him. Bang, bang, bang. Wherever the 6 people passed, many demonic beasts in the heavenly beast hall exploded. Wherever the 6 people passed, everything was swept away. Oh no. Du Shaoqing looked serious. 6 venerable realm experts appeared again. Even she could not stop them now. The people of the Great Wheel sect were entangled with the experts of the ancient heaven sect. These 6 venerable realm experts were enough to sweep the entire barren country. Shaoqing, this is your last chance. The barren country will withdraw from the Stone Dragon Empire and never invade again. The Stone Dragon Empire will not pursue the barren country, Cheng Shengnan said to Du Shaoqing's body. Du Shaoqing's body was hovering in the air. Her hot aura was whistling. At this moment, she could not decide. With the addition of the 6 venerable realm experts, the barren country was at a disadvantage. You are just ants. The army of the barren country tried to stop them. Ren Leizuan waved his hand, and a terrifying palm print fell. Many people were crushed and screamed in pain. This is strange and extraordinary. If you stay, you will be a disaster. Die. Ren Leizuan then looked at the little tiger who was not far away. His eyes were cold. He had seen the little tiger in the space-time talisman array. He could not help but be afraid of such a talent. The best way was to strangle it in the cradle. Boom. Ren Leizuan attacked and swept his palm towards the little tiger. The little tiger was only at the Beast Emperor realm. Ren Leizuan was at the Venerable realm. If they were to fight head-on, the little tiger would be severely injured even if it did not die. Roar. The little tiger flapped its wings and black talisman symbols soared into the sky. Terrifying chi waves swept out. One could clearly see a faint golden ripple spreading out like a tsunami. It wanted to resist Renlezuin. Evil creature, you are still far from enough. Today, I will end you. Renlezuin shouted coldly. His killing intent shot out. The terrifying palm print carried the power of lightning and was about to touch the little tiger's paw print. In Renlezuin's imagination, although the black tiger was not ordinary, with his killing intent, it was enough to kill it and prevent it from causing trouble in the future. Then, just as Renlezuin's palm print was about to touch the little tiger's paw print, a monstrous chill suddenly spread out from the bottom of his heart. As the chill rose from the bottom of his heart, even Renlezuin's soul began to tremble. Intense uneasiness surged in his heart. Renlezuin quickly retreated. To be able to live for so long and step into the venerable realm, he had always believed in his premonition. However, just as Renlezuin was about to pull back, a strange purple figure appeared in front of him in a ghost-like manner. A fist print wrapped in lightning directly collided with the palm print that Renlezuin did not have the time to withdraw from the little tiger in an incomparably overbearing manner. Boom! There was a muffled sound that sounded like thunder. Many people looked on in shock as they saw Renle the Venerable's palm shatter. Subsequently, like a chain reaction, a wave of purple gold light entwined and wrapped around his body. Under Renlezuin's shocked gaze, his body directly exploded into a bloody fog. As his eyes shrunk, he finally saw a purple-robed young man appear in front of him. The purple-robed young man was the weapon emperor, Xiaofeng, who had crossed paths with him before. He was also Du Xiaofu. The purple-robed young man who suddenly appeared stood in the air and swept his gaze across the entire battlefield. Then, he turned around and looked at the huge little tiger's lantern-like eyes behind him. He asked in a gentle voice, "Are you all right?" "Third young master." After the little tiger's eyes were in a daze, he suddenly trembled. Then, his dull and stunned eyes surged with joy. "Xiaofu, third brother, third young master, president?" Looking at the purple-robed young man who suddenly appeared in the sky above the battlefield, many people in the surroundings were instantly stunned. Then, a large number of people on the battlefield instantly surged with wild joy. Suddenly, loud shouts resounded in the battlefield. Although they hadn't seen each other for many years, his resolute face was immediately recognized by everyone. "The brave God King is here." Many people in the Stone Dragon Empire's army were astonished. Lezuin has fallen. The 5 remaining martial honorable realm masters from the Great Wheel sect and the Divine Light Court who had suddenly appeared were shocked. Renle the Venerable was killed in one move. What kind of terrifying strength was required to do that? Be careful. At that moment, 5 towering auras surged out at lightning speed. The remaining 5 martial honorable realm masters from the Divine Light Court pounced at the same time. 5 terrifying runes surged into the sky and were extremely powerful. They shook the empty space and roared together with the empty space. The runes on the 5 talismans were densely packed, and they turned into terrifying energy. Like a storm, they enveloped Du Xiaofu, and their auras were destructive. That was the combined attack of the 5 Thunder Suns and the other 4. The power of the combined attack of 5 martial honorable realm masters was unimaginable. Be careful. In the face of the combined attack of the 5 martial honorable realm masters, Sima Muhan, Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, and many others were shocked and shouted out loud. While everyone was worried, Du Xiaofu calmly stood in the sky. Then, under everyone's gaze, he swept his hand across the 5 martial honorable realm masters in front of him. As he swept his hand across, purplish gold runes surged out and turned into the shadow of a rock with golden wings. There were purplish gold lightning arcs around it, and it looked like a rock. Rumble. This was Du Xiaofu's sky-shaking wings. When he swept his wings, a terrifying shockwave swept out and caused the empty space above the fierce tiger gorge to explode. Purple lightning filled the sky. Whoosh! Monstrous lightning filled the sky and spread far into the empty space. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, they watched in disbelief as the 5 martial honorables flew out without any warning from Du Xiaofu's palm. The 5 martial honorables spat out mouthfuls of blood. The 5 of them fell back and their eyes were filled with shock. Under Sumo's terrifying power, they were no match for him. Streaks of lightning energy wreaked havoc in their bodies and caused them to be severely injured. Everyone was shocked, and many of the top powers in the Great Will sect were shocked. Ku, seeing that the 5 martial honorable realm masters were severely injured by Du Xiaofu, the general, Yi Piaoling, Little Tiger, Qin Guyu, Peerless Sword King, Du Yunlong, Medicine King Yi Wuming, and the others were dumbfounded and they gasped. After severely injuring the 5 martial honorable realm masters, Du Xiaofu did not even look at them. He looked around the battlefield and waved his hand. His voice pierced through the sky and he said, "Kill them all." Rumble. As Du Xiaofu's voice sounded, an ominous aura fluctuation exploded in the sky. Wave after wave of frightening chilliness descended upon this region of space. Then, everyone looked up and saw 8 figures appear in the sky. In a few flashes, they appeared above the battlefield. A few of the figures exuded terrifying auras. The ominous aura caused everyone's soul to tremble. Why does it seem like the evil spirit aura from the sealed ancient lands? The general, Gu Xinyan, Du Xiaoman, Shui Ruhan, Sima Muhan, and the others lifted their heads to look at the figures. The ominous aura was similar to the evil spirit aura from the sealed ancient lands. A few martial honorable realm masters. Many of the top powers in the ancient sky sect were shocked. At that moment, there were a few martial honorable realm masters among the people who came with Du Xiaofu. Their auras were extraordinary. Hee, so many people. There is enough human blood. Those of you from the barren country, step back. The blood-vine spirit shouted coldly. His voice was sharp and piercing as it reverberated in the sky. A man in a dark red robe floated in the sky, and a terrifying, ominous aura surged. Haha, attack. Kill them all. Shosha roared. He looked around and immediately charged towards one of the martial honorable realm masters from the Divine Light Court, who had been forced back by Du Xiaofu. Behind him, Hun Xie, Phantom, and the Bloodvine Spirit also charged across the sky. Their ominous auras filled the sky. When the few of them attacked, their ominous auras permeated the heavens and the earth. The entire ferocious Tiger Gorge was chilling, and it caused one's soul to tremble. He is back. At that moment, Chang Shungnan's body trembled in the sky. The person she was most worried about had appeared at that moment. Chapter 968. I'm finally out. Luckily, I made it in time. Du Xiaoyao's enormous golden ape body soared through the air. His aura was like the beginning of the world, and even Paragon-level cultivators had to retreat. Light shot into the sky from his mouth, and he was still chewing on a mouthful of talisman weapons and Dao weapons as snacks. Feeling Du Xiaoyao's aura, Du Xiaofu trembled slightly. Compared to the Little Tiger and Little Green, Du Xiaoyao's aura was much stronger. This is your last chance. Go and talk to my brother. Du Xiaoqing's huge by Feng divine bird body looked down at Cheng Sheng'an. Then, green and red talisman weapons surged out of her huge body and turned into human form. Her young and beautiful body quickly flew to Du Xiaofu's side. She pounced on him excitedly and said, "Brother, I knew you were fine." "Bastard, are you fine?" Third brother. Sima Muhan, Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, and the others took the opportunity to force their opponents back. They immediately went to Du Xiaofu's side. "Sorry, I came out a little late, and also came a little late." Du Xiaofu looked at the familiar faces in front of him. He didn't greet them properly when they were in the sealed ancient lands. Now, he met them again on the battlefield. Luckily, everyone was fine now. However, Du Xiaofu knew very well that if he came a little later, the consequences would be unimaginable. "It's good that you're here. You're not too late." Sima Muhan's gaze swept across the battlefield. In the end, her gaze landed on Chang Shengnan, who was in the air in front of her. Luckily I'm not too late." Du Xiaofu smiled at Sima Muhan and the others. Then, he patted his second brother Du Yunlong's shoulder and said, "Leave the rest to me. Be careful. The Great Luan sect has many honorable realm cultivators too." Du Yunlong reminded Du Xiaofu. He was also a little worried. Don't worry. Du Xiaofu smiled at his second brother, Du Yunlong. Then, he stepped into the void and immediately traversed the space. His target was the 5 Lightning Child and the other 4 from the Divine Light Court who were currently fighting against the Bloodvine Demon, Hun Xie, Phantom, and Shou Sha. At this moment, the heavily injured 5 Lazy and the other 4 had joined forces to form a combined attack formation in the sky. Although 5 Thunderchild was severely injured, he still had a terrifying aura. The 5 of them each possessed the cultivation of a newly ascended martial saint. However, at that moment, when the 5 of them joined forces, they naturally possessed a mysterious technique that caused their auras to increase greatly. When the 5 of them joined forces, they were infinitely comparable to a mysterious martial saint. The Phantom's body was surrounded by a murderous aura. The Bloodvine transformed into a giant vine. The Beast Killer transformed into a giant beast that looked like a tiger, a wolf, and a lion. Hun Xie transformed into a giant body. Many of the surrounding experts were shocked. However, under the joint attack of these 4 people, although they could directly suppress 5 Thunderchild, it would be difficult to completely kill him in a short period of time. Divine Light Court. Du Xiaofu raised his head. Golden light spread out from his eyes. A vast and overbearing aura swept out from his body, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Then, his figure disappeared from where he stood. Let me deal with these 5. You guys go deal with the others first. When Du Xiaofu's figure reappeared, he was already in front of Phantom and the other 3. Yes, third young master. Phantom, Shou Sha, Hun Xie, and the Bloodvine Demon immediately retreated and left at lightning speed. At this moment, 5 Lazy looked at Du Xiaofu, who had just appeared. Fear and dread could be seen in his eyes on his pale face. 5 Thunderchild did not choose to escape. With their age and reputation in the Central Plains, if they were to escape from the hands of a junior, they would not be able to face anyone in the future. Moreover, they felt that they still had a chance. They had just been careless previously. 5 Thunder in 1. The 5 of them shouted in unison. Then, each of them formed a hand seal. The surrounding dark chi surged as the energy of heaven and earth condensed. Dazzling talisman runes spread out with lightning and finally spread above the void. At this moment, 5 Thunderchild and the other 4 started to glow. The aura of the martial honorable realm swept out. Their bodies flickered like blazing divine flames, drowning the void. Finally, the talisman runes in front of the 5 of them gathered together and turned into a giant shadow that was dozens of feet tall. The giant shadow had an inexplicable aura all over it, and there were thousands of lightning streaks falling from it. Boom! The giant shadow roared like thunder. Accompanied by a terrifying aura, it charged toward Du Xiaofu to destroy him. The giant shadow was terrifying. Its roar was more deafening than thunder. Terrifying energy covered the sky as if the ancient thunder god had descended. That's the most powerful attack of the 5 Thunderchild. It's enough to kill those of the same cultivation level. It can even fight against those of a higher cultivation level. Many experts in the Great Wheel Sect and the Ancient Heaven Sect exclaimed when they saw the joint attack of the 5 Thunderchild and the other 4. Du Xiaofu moved. He stepped on the void and soared into the sky. Boom! At the same time, Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with dazzling golden light. Golden light shot out from his back and a terrifying aura swept out. A pair of real golden wings spread out from Du Xiaofu's back. In the dazzling golden light, there were golden talisman runes flashing. It was as if the shadow of a golden-winged rock flapped its wings and soared into the sky with surging power. This domineering and terrifying power made the old Taoist of Changdao and Elder Gu Qingyang, who were fighting in the distance, tremble. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and soared into the sky. The wings on his back were the real golden-winged rock supreme beast energy that he had obtained from the Ancient Heaven Sect. Whoosh! Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and a huge golden vortex formed under his wings. The golden light was dazzling, and there was a buzzing sound of wind and thunder. It was as if a golden-winged rock was roaring, and its aura made people's souls tremble. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and flew across the space. He didn't move much at this moment. He just flapped his wings and crashed into the huge shadow of the giant. The golden talisman runes on the wings on his back flashed like countless golden thunderbolts. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body seemed small compared to the huge shadow of the giant. However, Du Xiaofu's aura was like that of a real golden-winged rock born into the world. It flapped its wings and looked down on the world, suppressing all living beings. This was the supreme beast energy of the golden-winged rock. It was as if it could cover the ancient times and shoot down the stars. It was as if it could fly up to 90,000 miles. In the sealed ancient land, Du Xiaofu couldn't use the golden-winged rock to use this ability. After his rebirth, he had been hiding his identity and didn't have the chance to use it. However, they didn't know that this ability was definitely one of Du Xiaofu's most powerful trump cards at this moment. It was the real trump card. Du Xiaofu's figure flashed past, and the golden talisman runes covered the void. It could suppress the ancient times and suppress all living beings. The huge shadow controlled by the 5 Thunder Sons was in a deadlock in front of Du Xiaofu, who didn't retreat. Instead, it moved forward. Then, under the horrified gazes of countless people, the huge shadow was destroyed. It turned into dazzling talisman runes and thunderbolts and dissipated in the void. Rock's chaos-crushing claw. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and appeared. He waved his hand, and a claw print was formed. It was powerful enough to tear the sky and crush the stars. Swish! The 2 elders among the 5 Thunder Sons were still spitting blood when their bodies were crushed. They turned into blood mist and scattered in the sky. Run! The remaining 3 had blood dripping from their mouths. They were horrified and fled in panic. Where do you think you're going? Du Xiaofu shouted in a domineering manner. He punched out with a thunderbolt fist. Terrifying thunderbolts swept out, and the body of an elder was smashed into pieces. This expert of the Divine Light Court died under the Divine Light thunderstorm of the Divine Light Court. Swish! A fingerprint swept out. It was the lightning finger of the Divine Light Court. The 4th of the 5 Thunder Sons was killed again. His chest was pierced by the fingerprint, and his body fell to the ground. In the end, the little tiger took the opportunity to open its mouth and swallow the elder's body. It gained the benefits of a venerable expert's body. Swish! The speed of the rock's golden wings was incredible. Du Xiaofu appeared in front of the last of the 5 Thunder Sons. He stretched out his hand, and the golden claw print could distort the space. He directly grabbed the neck of the elder, who had just reached the martial venerable realm, and lifted him into the void. The 5 martial venerables were powerful enough to fight against a martial venerable. However, at this moment, they were destroyed by Du Xiaofu. 4 of them had been killed like ants, causing the surroundings to fall silent. Countless gazes stopped fighting and looked at each other in shock. Blood for blood. Du Xiaofu roared like thunder. At this moment, his golden eyes were like the eyes of a real golden-winged rock, able to look down on the earth. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu twisted his neck and broke the neck of the last survivor of the 5 Lightning Sons. He was deader than dead. 5 martial venerables were killed in the blink of an eye. The Stone Dragon Empire and the Great Luan sect's members were terrified by the ferocious killing intent and terrifying strength. They couldn't help but gasp. So powerful. Phantom, Hun Xie, Shou Sha, and the Bloodvine were shocked. They knew that the purple-robed young man had been polite to them when they were in the sealed ancient lands. After killing the 5 martial venerables, Du Xiaofu's expression did not change. Golden light shot out from his eyes, and the rock's golden wings spread out behind him. Wind and thunder rumbled. It was so powerful that it shocked everyone. Medicine King Yiwuming stood in the void, and many puppets surrounded him. His gray robe fluttered in the wind as he looked at the elder of the Great Luan sect who was fighting with the Ancient Sky sect. He said to Du Xiaofu, "Xiaofu, do you see him? It's him, the clear Luan emperor of the Great Luan sect. He and Chang Fanshi turned Stone City into a river of blood. You will pay for this blood." Swish swish. As Medicine King Yiwuming spoke, Du Xiaofu's golden eyes suddenly looked at the elder. A monstrous killing intent shot out from his eyes and thunder rumbled in the depths of the void. Not good. When the Clear Luin Emperor felt Du Xiaofu's killing intent and saw the 5 Thunder Sons being killed by Du Xiaofu, the Clear Luin Emperor, who was fighting with the ancient Sky Sect's expert, turned pale. He knew that things were not going well. His soul trembled and a bone-chilling chill rose in his heart. Chapter 969. Qingluan. Looks like someone wants to pay you back. Elder Hu Sankuan, who was fighting with the Qingluan Emperor, laughed aloud. He no longer fought with the Qingluan Emperor and immediately retreated to find another opponent. Qila. As the golden light spread out, Du Xiaofu spread his wings and appeared before the Clear Luin Emperor. He stared at the Clear Luin Emperor with a chilling gaze. What do you want to do? Under Du Xiaofu's cold gaze and invisible pressure, the Qingluan Emperor actually trembled in fear. He didn't know why he asked that question as he trembled all over. Du Xiaofu ignored the Clear Luin Emperor's words. He responded to the Clear Luin Emperor by moving. He directly reached towards the Clear Luin Emperor with a wave of his hand. A terrifying golden light swept out, condensing into supreme fury. Save me, Elder Jingsu. Save me. The Qingluan Emperor cried out for help. It seemed like there were still experts from the Great Luin sect hiding nearby. Du Xiaofu was slightly surprised by the Qingluan Emperor's words. However, he didn't pay it any mind and directly pounced towards the Qingluan Emperor. Looking at Du Xiaofu leaping in front of him and his domineering aura sweeping out, the Qingluan Emperor's eyes widened in shock. His pupils constricted, and his trembling soul became sluggish. Brat, the people of the Great Luin sect aren't people you can touch. Just as Du Xiaofu's claw was about to reach the Qingluan Emperor, an indifferent voice rang out from the depths of the void. Then, a crack was forcefully torn open in space and a figure stepped out. As this person appeared, the world immediately tightened and trembled. A slender figure appeared in the void, freezing the surrounding space for no reason. So powerful. Under this aura, Du Xiaofu suddenly noticed that this person's aura was so powerful that it could cause the world's energy to change. It was probably even more powerful than his master, Gu Qingyang. It might even be close to his first senior uncle, Guangzun, and second senior uncle, Fairy Yu. Elder Jingsu, save me, save me. As the figure appeared, the Qingluan Emperor immediately cried out for help as if he had seen a life-saving straw. The Qingluan Emperor didn't have the confidence to fight against Du Xiaofu. Even 5 lazy had been killed. As a half-step martial sovereign, he didn't have the ability to fight back. Young man, you're not bad. It's a pity that you dare to touch my Great Luin sect. You can't be forgiven. The figure was an old man in his 70s. His long robes. As he spoke, the world's energy in the surrounding world began to fluctuate at a shocking speed. And a claw as sharp as a claw, and grabbed at it Xiaofu. Jingsu, Jr., Jingshu, get lost. At the same time, a cold shout sounded from behind Du Xiaofu. As the voice sounded, a figure stood in front of Jing Su from the Great Luin sect in a ghostly manner for Du Xiaofu. In the blink of an eye, a stream of energy collided with the former's claw. Walala! There wasn't a loud explosion. Only dazzling runes spread in all directions. Bang! However, this didn't last for long. As the rune energy spread, a figure flew out like a bird with broken wings. In the end, it landed heavily on a cliff in the ferocious Tiger Gorge. Under such a terrifying force, many cracks immediately appeared on the cliff. The person who fell was Jing Su, who had just appeared from the Great Luin sect. Ugh! Jing Su spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the figure who had just attacked. It was a burly man with a wretched look in his eyes. However, at this moment, his charm was natural. As he stepped into the void, his aura made Jing Su tremble. Saint-Array Prodigy, you are the Saint-Array Prodigy. Jing Su blankly stared at the burly man for a moment. Soon after, he was shocked and involuntarily cried out. The eyes on his old face were completely filled with fear. When the words Saint-Array Prodigy sounded, many experts from the Great Luin sect and the Ancient Heaven sect suddenly looked over. A few hundred years ago, that name had shocked the entire Central Plains and swept away the symbol masters of the 9 great factions. Brother Qing Chun has made his move. On the other hand, when Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, the dark Wyrm king, and the others saw that Jin Qing Chun was able to slap away such an expert with a single move, all of their eyes surged with happiness. Only at this moment did they truly understand how frightening that Brother Qing Chun was. Save me! Save me! A miserable cry sounded. In a short moment, Du Xiaofu had already grabbed the Clear Luan Emperor by the neck and captured him like an ant. The Clear Luan Emperor's face was flushed red as he let out a miserable cry. At this moment, the Clear Luan sovereign no longer had the imposing manner he had when he started a massacre in the Stone City. Only now did he regret going to the Stone City. He originally thought that with the Great Luan sect behind him, he wouldn't have to fear anyone. But now, he knew that he was wrong. Kid, let go of my Great Luan sect, or the Great Luan sect will never let you go. Elder Jingshu struggled to climb out of the stone wall, blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. She looked at Du Xiaofu, who had captured the Clear Luan Emperor. Her eyes were solemn, and her expression was cold. She was absolutely fearful of the holy matrix prodigy Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at the Clear Luan Emperor, who was like an ant in his hand. At this moment, there was not much anger in his eyes, and he had become extremely calm. However, it was this kind of calmness that made people feel even more terrified. This kind of calmness was too calm. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. You will pay the price for the lives of tens of thousands of people in Stone City. Du Xiaofu did not care about Jingsu at all, as he spoke coldly to the Clear Luan Emperor. Under the Clear Luan Emperor's fearful gaze, Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and tore off the Clear Luan Emperor's only arm. Qila then, it was the Clear Luan Emperor's left leg, followed by his right leg. Blood spurted and flesh splattered. The Clear Luan Emperor howled in agony. His shrill voice reverberated, making people's hair stand on end. His body was covered in blood. Rumble. Then, Du Xiaofu threw the Clear Luan Emperor's body onto a cliff below. One punch had shattered the spirit gate. One punch had shattered the primordial spirit, and one claw had torn the body apart. Blood was dripping, organs were broken, and white bones were exposed. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Finally, Du Xiaofu threw the Clear Luan Emperor's body into the top of the cliff, leaving behind a pair of terrified eyes. The Clear Luan Emperor let out a miserable shriek that sounded like the cries of ghosts. Everyone present felt a chill run down their spines. The entire battlefield was eerily silent. Countless people trembled and their hair stood on end. The visual impact of that scene made one's hair stand on end. Just looking at it made one's soul tremble. The young man was like a savage beast. He was definitely not an ordinary person. How ruthless! Phantom, Hunxia, Shueting and Shou Sha were shocked when they saw that scene. I'll keep your life and your eyes. I'll show you the consequences of messing with my desolate country. Du Xiaofu's final punch landed on the Clear Luan Emperor's mouth. Half of his face was smashed into mush. His bones were broken and his flesh was mangled. The Clear Luan Emperor only left behind a pair of eyes. Half of his body was embedded in the cliff, allowing him to overlook the entire ferocious tiger gorge. However, he could no longer let out a wretched cry. He was unable to close his eyes and his shrunk pupils were filled with extreme fear. The Clear Luan Emperor would rather fall into the 18th level of hell than suffer such a fate. However, he couldn't even let out a wretched cry. The hundreds of disciples and experts of the Great Luan sect felt a chill in their hearts when they saw the bloody scene. They couldn't help but shiver. Du Xiaofu, my Great Luan sect swears that we won't let you off. Jing Su shouted. His voice was as loud as thunder and his old face was distorted. You've just become a Nirvana Martial Honorable. You don't have the right to make decisions here. Shut up. Do you believe that I won't make all of you stay in the ferocious Tiger Gorge forever? Jin Qingchun, the prodigy of the Sacred Array, shouted and glanced at Jing Su. Looking at Jin Qingchun, Jing Su's gaze couldn't help but tremble. He naturally knew what the Sacred Array prodigy had done to the Great Luan sect. The debt of blood in Sure City cannot be repaid by one person. I, Du Xiaofu, swear that I won't rest until the Great Luan sect is dead. The debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Du Xiaofu stared coldly at Jing Su. Under his calm gaze, Jing Su trembled. Looking at the ripples in the depths of Du Xiaofu's eyes, Jing Su felt as though he had seen a peerless, ferocious bird staring at him. The depths of his soul couldn't help but tremble. Buzz. There was a flash of golden light. Du Xiaofu clenched his hegemon shadow tightly, and a terrifying aura spread out. He flapped his wings and soared into the sky. This time, Du Xiaofu pounced towards the great Lu insect. "Be careful," Jing Su shouted, and was about to rush over. "Just stay here." Jin Qingchun took action. He waved his hand, and a stream of runes slashed towards Jing Su. A terrifying aura erupted and froze the space, trapping Jing Su within it. You've taken that step?" At this moment, Jing Su's eyes looked as though he had seen a ghost. He looked at Jin Qingchun in horror. "It's just half a step, but you can't even withstand a single blow," Jin Qingchun said indifferently. He flicked his sleeves and controlled everything within the frozen space. "Sacred Array Prodigy, you can't touch me. Do you really think that a small, desolate country can contend against my great Lu insect?" At this moment, Jing Su seemed to have sensed something, and his eyes were filled with absolute fear. However, in this frozen space, he was like an ant. He couldn't break free from the shackles of the glorious sun radiance. "I hate it when people threaten me. The great Lu insect is nothing. Don't forget that there's still the ancient heaven sect and the 7-star hall. I'll destroy you today. Let's see what your great Lu insect can do to me." Jin Qingchuan's indifferent expression suddenly became as furious as thunder. He waved his hand at Jing Su from afar, and an invisible wave immediately swept towards Jing Su. That invisible energy fluctuation suddenly condensed into an energy rune handprint in front of Jing Su, and finally slapped on his body.